Dark Satellite Media.
Yo, hello, welcome to Red River Podcast, episode number 54. The first one of this kind. Maybe we're going to do a few more like this, but so today we are all by ourselves, and I called up Brian Parker. What's going on?
Hey man, how are you?
I'm all right, just doing what everyone else is doing, which is sitting at home, staring at a wall, watching TV, eating brownies.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy, I gotta tell you.
So, I just wanted to touch base with everyone, and what's fucked up? Like, you had a kid. Like, you had a son, and then this shit happens. Like, how crazy has it been, like, adjusting to the COVID shit, and then also being like, a first-time father?
Well, it's funny because so she has the kid. She had the kid early, probably. I think it was like a week or like 10 days early or whatever. And so we're at the hospital. I think we were at the hospital for about 3 days, and then like we come home, and I took off the following 2 weeks. Like I don't get maternity leave or any of that stuff. She's actually still on maternity leave, and so I go back to work after 2 weeks, and we're taking like 2-hour shifts because the kid's crying, and he's got to eat, and he's got to get changed, and yada yada yada. So then I go back, and then her appendix winds up, like, it didn't rupture, but it had to come out. So then, like, after going back to work, I had to go out again for like an additional 2 weeks because she couldn't even like hold the kid. She couldn't feed the kid, anything.
Is that
so
normal?
I stayed home for like it's not normal, but it does happen to people like a few times, like a year after childbirth.
Okay.
And then so then I went back to work after that, again, and then the kid started getting on he's on a pretty good sleep schedule now. And then like this thing broke out, and I was just like, what the fuck? It's like one thing right after another, When did it, the only thing I remember about appendix is I think maybe like different strokes, like somebody needed their appendix taken out. And, oh, yeah.
And like when I was a kid, the two things that like scared me the most was that, because I didn't know what it was, and your tonsils. Because I was like, I was like, wait, you're gonna go to the wherever they take you, and they're gonna take your tonsils out, and I'd always stare at it.
The only good thing with that though was like unlimited ice cream, so I was like, all right, take those fuckers out of that. I don't even fucking care.
Did you get yours?
Give me the fucking ice cream.
I never got mine.
No. I mean, I still got that. I still got the crazy thing with the appendix is like she was just having like a pain to her side, and like she called the doctor, and the doctor was just like, oh yeah, he's like, just like take like 2 Tylenol and put like a heating pad on it and go to sleep. And then the next day she's just like, something's wrong. She's like, we gotta go back in the hospital. So then we went back in, and they did a sonogram and everything, and they were like, yeah, they're like, that thing's got to come out. And she's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I just had a fucking C-section. Like, I'm not even healed from it. Like, the doctor even said that he's not even healed from this thing yet. So it was brutal. Yeah, it was bad.
So what's it like having a kid?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like when he first came home, I mean, it's almost like I kind of said, it was kind of like a bowl of mashed potatoes. Like the kid just sits there, and there was no like emotion or like anything. And it's honestly, he just like sleeps and eats and shits, just like everybody says. But probably about 6 weeks ago, he started like, understanding people's voices and like picking up on voices. And now like he smiles and he laughs. Like it's pretty fucking cool now. So like when this thing first like broke out, I was just like, oh my God, like I got to be home, and this is boring and this and that. But like, I honestly think it's like a blessing in disguise. So now like I literally get to be like, I guess like the fucking housewife and like watch my kid like grow up for like however long we're going to be home with this shit. So it's pretty fucking cool.
Hopefully another 2 months. I mean,
yeah. Hey, whatever it is. I mean, like I'm, my job, they understand, like with the kid, and obviously they were just like, look, like you should stay home because like the kid has like no immune system. So, I mean, the thing with me is like, I've been the one like going to like, food shopping and CVS and like all, pretty much whenever I got to go anywhere. And like, there's still people out there. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I was one of those assholes when this thing first started. I was just like, oh, like 2 weeks, it's going to be gone. And then like, it wasn't gone. And now like, I've been home for like a month. And like, there's still people walking around out there with like no masks, like no gloves, like shaking their head at people that are like keeping their distance. I mean, like I was food shopping Friday and like the place pretty much almost got shut down because people were too close to each other, and somebody actually called the fire department to like step in and like shut the place down. Like it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, we've been getting deliveries like from Stop and Shop.
Yeah, no, that's smart.
Well, it ain't for me. Like, Karen's just super precautious.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was the other way. Like when I first had to wear a mask, I was just like, you're making me wear a mask,
Yeah.
And now, as time goes on, you put on the news, you're like, oh shit, you're like, maybe this is actually kind of a big deal. And as time went on, it just kept getting more of a big deal. Like the bass player and songwriter of Fountains of Wayne died. Like so many people.
Yeah.
Affected. And so I know we wanted to do an episode. Like the first idea was to talk about Invasion USA, right? And we were just like,
which I was all fucking about, man. I did more research on that movie, like when we talked about it, than I ever have, and I was like, man, there's some like I delved deep into like the production staff and shit. I was like, man, there's some like fucking heavy hitters that did like the makeup and the sound and the soundtrack. So like whenever we do that, like I'm fucking ready to go, man.
Yeah, I think we should. It's just one of those things is like spitballing ideas, because in my head I'm thinking like, oh, it's just not the same. We're not in the same room. We're not staring at each other. So when I thought to myself, I'm like, we're having such a hard time finding this movie online that if we do an episode on it, it's like people are going to be like, oh, I've never seen that one. I'm going to go try to watch it, and you can unless you have like stars or whatever. But, whatever. It's an idea to basically have. I just can't believe there. You can't fucking. There's no stream. Like you can't rent it. It's just.
I know.
Yeah, I tried to upload it to YouTube and it wouldn't let me for whatever reason. So.
Yeah.
You just got to invite 100 people over, and we'll talk about the movie.
That's it, man. I feel like the biggest horror hang of all time, but it's like a Chuck Norris hang or something.
Yeah, because that is his best movie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean that and Delta Force. I would probably say that Delta Force, and I actually take Missing in Action 2 over Missing in Action 1. Don't ask me why, but I do.
No, you're right, because the first one isn't really that good, and the third one is just a mess. And I think the second one's really good. So Stars Encore has been playing a lot of that stuff. And they played Delta Force like a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if Sarah does this to you, but I'm like, maybe she's used to it by now, but like I'm like trying to explain to Karen why this movie's so good.
Yeah, forget about it. Well, I mean, even like today, like I said, like I brought over like Mallrats and like Dead Snow to like watch for like Easter, and she's just like, neither of these are Easter movies, and I'm like, but it says so on fucking Wikipedia, man, so it's got to be true if it's on Wikipedia, right?
So that's what you picked. The Mallrats scene is great. And what I love about it now is like the handshaking of
it's so great. Yeah,
because now I guess like we're never going to be shaking hands ever again, but when that scene licking like the fucking chocolate off the fingers.
Yep.
And so Dead Snow, do you like the first one over the second one?
But truthfully, I've never seen the second one, and I heard that it's great, but I love the first one.
Okay, yeah, because once you see the second one, you're gonna never watch the first one again.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Like it's everything that you would ever want. Like I guess Dead Snow, being that it was like Norwegian or whatever language it was in, was so popular that the second one they made an English version, and
okay.
they like it's not dubbed at all, but I'm sure they have one in their home state or home country, but yeah, that's why it's called Red vs. Dead, and it's
okay, gotcha.
It's unreal. It's basically like Dead Alive. It's just like
okay, that's awesome.
Batshit crazy. So, do you miss?
Yeah, I love it.
Do you miss band practice?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because like, you know, everybody, like I'm just not working. Like I can't work from home like what a computer all day. Like they don't have like, you know, like apps or anything for like a laptop. So like I've just been like fucking like, you know, twiddling my thumbs, but like the rest of the band's been working. And like Jeff, you know, the fact that he's like, you know, he's like a family medicine doctor, my singer, like but it's gotten so bad now that like sometimes he does have to go to the hospital and like work. So I mean, it's fucking crazy. But I mean, I think I've played my drums like 3 times like since we had this kid. So
yeah, you know, like I was telling somebody the other day, you know, because some people seem to be very creative in this time, and it's like I feel like my life, just like everyone else's life, like we're on pause. Like I don't feel inspired. Yeah. I don't feel like I feel like I want this to. I feel like I want the carousel to start moving again before. Like I'm just like I'm not sitting at home thinking like, oh, now I have all this time to fucking write music and do this. Like I'm just like I'm like just not inspired. Like I didn't want to. I didn't want to do a podcast. I didn't want to like do anything. I'm like, yo, just start this engine up again, because I find myself like I like a frantic schedule, and that's how I feel. You know, I feel like I thrive more on just bouncing around different things. So. But some people are using it and they're doing a lot of cool stuff, man. Like I don't know if you've seen like the quarantine videos of like bands like Baroness.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
Yep. I don't know. I'd be fucking losing my mind. Like I can't even like think straight right now, you know?
Yeah, our drummer was just like the only one that seems to not be living during a pandemic. Because he, like in the thread, he's like, I still don't know why we're not practicing. And I'm just like, oh, like, and I respect that. And in my head, I'm thinking like, but I'm thinking like, if I didn't have anyone to come home to, I would have that same. Thinking. I would be like, oh yeah, whatever. You know, more than likely, it's not about me. Like I told him, it's just about like what that 1% chance that we would bring something home to someone else.
Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy. Like with us, like we're like when I go food shopping, like I'm literally leaving the shit like outside, and then like we both go out there with like fucking Clorox wipes and just like disinfect everything before it even comes into the house. You know,
that's what we've been doing. We like whenever we get something, like we're like, you know, she wipes it and I put it away. Like it's like this team, and it's so crazy. But you know what? I finally got my skull mask, so now I feel. Like if I'm gonna wear a mask and shit, like at least it'll have a skull on it, so I feel kind of cooler.
Yeah,
you know, and that's it. But what have you been watching? Anything interesting while you've been holed up?
Actually, now your phone's starting to break up. I heard like every other word.
Oh, okay. What have you been watching in this time?
Oh, there we go. That's better. Jesus, I mean, like TV show wise. I've been doing like pretty much everything's like ending soon. So I've been doing like Homeland on Showtime. That's ending soon. I've been still doing Better Call Saul on FX. I finished Ozark, which was fucking amazing. That fucking ending was like amazing.
Okay, so that to me, that best season so far, right?
Yeah, I mean it's funny because when the brother came in, I was like, I can't fucking stand this guy. And like by the end, I was just like, I fucking love this guy, man.
Yeah. He took a minute because I was like, they're crowbarring him in. And man, it was just a very tense season. And
yeah, definitely.
It definitely best season so far. And obviously, I'm not going to give spoilers, but glad to see Run the Jewels at that very last scene at the very ending. So, anything else?
And then I went back to Fargo actually too, because like I was just like, well, I'm gonna need fucking something with a few seasons when these things end. And I remembered I had started watching it. I remembered that I really liked it, so I went back to it. And now I'm into it. I think I'm up to like episode 6 or something on the first season. So I'm like really digging that.
What do you think people like about it? Because I've seen the movie obviously, and obviously it can't be the same plot, but. What are you enjoying about Fargo that would make someone like me watch it?
I mean, it has certain elements of the movie. Like I love the movie. It took like a while to get used to because like, the accents and the fucking Docha nose and like all that shit. I mean, that's in the show. Like there's different, I mean, like the main guy is like, it's not William H. Macy, but like it is William H. Macy. He's like, kind of like the pussy, like husband who the wife kind of, and then there's like a guy that's got the money, which was like the father-in-law in the movie. But like there are a couple scenes in the TV show that link the movie in.
Okay.
So like if you watch it, you're just like, holy fuck, stuff that like they did in the movie that they never like explained. So it's just kind of like it happened, then the TV show picked up, and then that answered it.
Yeah, I just wonder, where it goes from there because there's a whole bunch of seasons. So obviously, the storyline has to.
But yeah, I mean, I'm only up to like I said, episode 6, but like Billy Bob Thornton is fucking amazing in it. So
amazing, so much to watch, man. That's the one thing. Like, I tell people. If this shit happened 20 years ago, we'd be like digging up.
Oh, forget about it.
We'd be digging up VHS. We'd be watching Airheads.
Yeah. I'd be fucking knocking over like mom and pop video stores,
Be watching Airheads and Clueless like 20 times in a row.
Yeah, seriously.
Anything else? Any good movies?
But funny enough, I've actually been diving into like a lot of like A24 shit.
Oh, okay. Like what?
I watched Uncut Gems, which I fucking loved. Like you talk about it. You talk about like anxiety, like my fucking anxiety for that whole movie. I was like, holy shit!
How good was that fucking movie?
Yeah.
I saw it in the theaters, and the same. It was like 2 hours and 15 minutes of just anxiety. It was like a pressure cooker. Yeah. Did you watch? Did you watch their other movie, Good Time?
I did, yeah. Well, that I had seen before.
Okay, good.
That one I had seen before. So then I did Spring Breakers, which was, oh my god, like it was just like
terrible,
just like a dirt. I just felt like dirty, like watching that movie. I was just like, holy shit, this is just like gross. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I loved it, but I just felt like dirty.
You know who made the movie? Harmony Korine.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So the guy who made who wrote Kids and Gummo and all those weird movies.
Okay. So that would make sense then,
Yeah, visually that movie was really cool and it was very artsy. But like I saw it in the theaters and by the end I was like, this movie is so terrible.
Yeah. It's just like a dirty like fucking. Then I did mid-90s. I really fucking liked that.
I gotta watch that.
That was really good. Hot Summer Nights was really good. I liked that. Under the Silver Lake, I watched that.
Okay, so you finally caught up to this. We've been talking about this movie for like the last few episodes now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I tell everyone the same thing. Never has a movie been about so much and nothing at the same time that like if anyone watched that movie and they told me that they hated it, and a lot of people did, I get it. But for some reason, Karen hated it, but I watched it and I thought I was just entertained. I thought the movie was so ridiculous. It was like Alice in Wonderland meets The Big Lebowski. Yeah, like completely. Yeah,
I mean, I love that guy. I forget the actor's name, but like I thought that he was great in like that. In the Facebook movie, I thought he was great in that. So like going into this, I thought he was good.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Sorry. Yeah. And then Disaster Artist. I finally watched that 2 days ago and I was fucking blown away. I was fucking laughing my ass off.
Okay. So that was one of my favorite movies of whatever list we did. I can't say enough about that movie because I mean, oh my God. Franco was fucking amazing in that. I loved it. And his brother was so good in it.
Yeah. Yep. And great soundtrack too. I was loving it.
But it's so amazing because it's a movie about this movie that's so bad, but the story is so compelling, so fascinating. I saw it like 3 times, and it was just so, man, just what a great concept and idea. And you kind of
and just the fact that they don't know where the money came from or like any of that still is fucking great, you know?
Genius. Love it. So cool, man. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah. Nah, that's pretty much it, man. Just fucking, who's ever fucking listening, just fucking stay safe out there. That's the fucking main thing till this fucking bullshit ends, you know?
Yeah. We'll see you in the pit.
Yeah, something, you know?
We'll see you at the Beery's pit for Anoint the Sick.
That's it, man. Something, hopefully something. I mean, we had a show booked, like I said, in June, our one show of the year, and fucking Brendan reached out to me, and he's like, yeah, man, he's like, I don't think that fucking show's happening, so fucking, we were going to play with fucking Adams, which I was looking forward to, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, same thing. I mean, we got the video out of the way, which was cool.
Yes, yeah.
So you would have made a great cop, but still.
I know. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I had a baby shower that day, so.
But I was going in to finish the vocals on our new record, and you know, our engineer Jerry Farley was just like, "Yo, this shit's getting crazy." And my, you know, like where we record, his parents live, so they have like these, you know, like the dad has like a condition, so they didn't want to chance it. In my head, I'm thinking, like,
no, definitely.
Well, this was in the beginning, and I was like, whoa, I'm like, what's going on here? And then as time went on, I was like, okay, I see what's happening. But everything
crazy.
Everything paused. But cool, man. So this will be the first conversation out of the 4. Just wanted to put something out there and to see how everyone's doing. So
yeah, man.
Give my best to the crew. Tell Sarah I don't hate her. Tell Sarah I don't hate her because she unfollowed. I know I'm a tough pill, but I'll see you soon though.
Okay, man.
All right.
Okay. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Whatever I want to talk about for 15, 20, something like that. That's what the plan is, and you're splicing them all together or something.
Pretty much. I mean, we're already rolling, so it's just
okay.
I figure instead of having 4 people on a fucking show on the phone at the same time, where everyone's just kind of like
that's chaos,
clipping their toenails, and it's just like this way. You know. We get to just talk separately, do 15, 20 minutes a piece, kind of touch base with everyone. I just wanted to do something. I wanted to get something out there because I don't know about you. Like I just told Parker, just not feeling the creativity, man. Like, you know, I just feel like this shit got everyone kind of like on pause, you know? Like it's just like...
Yeah.
Like I'm not feeling like I got blessed with time to do shit. I'm feeling like everything stopped.
You broke up there. What was that?
I said I'm not feeling like I'm being blessed with time to do shit.
Nah, everything's just upended, man.
Yeah. So it's just like I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone, man. Everybody's kind of what's next, you know?
Pretty much, man. So how's things over there? I know you have a young child that you have to explain shit to.
He's just happy to like not be at school, so he doesn't really care. There's no terror. There's no like apprehension. You know what I mean?
You know,
it's pretty easy there because, like, you know, at the beginning I was like, "Yo, do you have any questions? Do you whatever?" And he was like, "Nah." I was like, all right.
That is true. So if I was like his age and you're like, yeah, this whole school year is canceled, I'd be like, whoa, like this is my luck.
Well, what's the bad news?
Yeah,
like,
what's the bad news?
Was there something you wanted to talk about? Like there's a problem?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all gravy, you know.
Cool. And so I don't know, you want to talk about this Primo and RZA thing?
Yeah, man. That's if anything good came out of this whole situation, like that was it. I fully enjoyed every minute of it. Like I wasn't expecting. I didn't tune in for. They did another one of these, right? Swiss Beats, or is that what it started with?
I think they've done a couple. And it's cool. Like, it's like a split screen, and they kind of go beat for beat. Like it's
like a producer battle more than like a DJ battle, because RZA's not really a DJ. Primo can obviously,
and that's
wax him in that regard. But it's just my tune versus your tune, and just to revisit all that, like, oh my God, I forgot he did that track. It was just so much fun, and it took me back to like back in the day when you call your friend up, and like I used to do this with Jeff all the time. Be like, yeah, I'm gonna grab like 20, 30 plates, go over your house, we'll go record for record in the basement, just hanging out, loving music, talking shit, and that's what it turned into. It wasn't like who won or whatever. It was just like never two heads.
It was never about like, because some people like, oh, I give it to Primo, and I'm thinking like, yeah, like I'm not really like I'm thinking like, okay, you're gonna go from Code of the Streets to fucking Cream. Like who loses? No one loses. Like you're like,
nah.
Yeah, like these are two like for that era. Like these are two of the best. This is like seriously like watching two. This is like watching fucking Mustaine trade leads with fucking like Kirk Hammett. Like you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, just banger after banger, I mean, like, if they kept going, like, Primo could probably do that show against anybody till, like, 4 or 5 in the morning and still not even pull out everything, Like, he even, like, pulled, like, for the beginning, like, later on, he was really hitting, like, joint. But, I mean, Come Clean and New York State of Mind and on and on and on. Like, just...
I mean, just that right there. I think Come Clean... Like, I can't think that's just the best beat ever. Like, it's so minimal.
It's the best beat ever, and it's really like you could tell. And the RZA, like the RZA, that grime or whatever, that's like it's such an underground grimy sound that definitely had an influence on the RZA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that, like the beat to J. Rue's "Come Clean," like on paper and in theory, it should never work.
No,
like what it sounds like water drops, it just doesn't.
Well, he even made reference to that. Like he was like trying to figure out, like, did this guy just record the sounds of water?
Yeah.
Like what? Like it. And I don't know. It's just it was so. I was glad they kept going, and I think it went close to like midnight.
It went close to midnight because I was actually watching. I started watching the movie The Gentleman last night.
Right,
the Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
Do you fuck with Guy Ritchie?
I love Snatch. I love Lock, Stock. He took a real dive for me. Madonna, Yoko Ono'd him for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But so like I like those two, and then he made a movie called Rock and Rolla, which was also good with Idris.
I didn't see that.
That's good.
I heard that was good though. Yeah.
Idris Elba. I don't remember what else he did, but man, watching this, it has McConaughey.
He did the Sherlock Holmes flick, didn't he?
Oh,
was he doing any of those, or like he did something else? Like I don't know. He was always like kind of a little bit of a poor man's Tarantino for me, but
like the UK version.
Yes, yeah, he definitely had some good stuff. But that movie was good though.
This movie was so fucking good, man. It was just so entertaining from beginning to end. Hugh Grant was great. Colin Farrell was great. Charlie Hunnam,
good cast.
Sons of Anarchy, and
right.
Matthew McConaughey just fucking playing an American-born dude, gangster that lived out in fucking London.
Does what he does.
That's his
thing.
Does what he
Matthew McConaughey thing. But yeah, going back though to the RZA thing. Like when I signed in at like 9, and RZA wasn't on till like 9:15, 9:20. I mean, were you reading the people writing in, like,
yes,
in the room? Like everybody that's like ever been in hip hop was there.
It was like straight up 186K, like like people sign on.
It got up to 201 at one point.
It was like anyone that you look at, like 500, 600 people, 700 people, like this shit goes off, and like when I looked at that number, I'm like, so basically we're all just in our phones right now.
But then you see who's writing it. You Pete Rock, Killer Mike, LP, Snoop Dogg, LL Cool J, Shaquille O'Neal. Like everybody was on that. Everybody. It was like, oh wow, this is something special I'm participating in. This is like wonderful.
Did you throw a comment in? I threw a couple.
I threw a couple. Some constructive criticism.
You might want to lay back on that scratch.
When they were doing, first of all, like I loved that Deck got a lot of love because I've always been like Inspector Deck is my favorite Wu-Tang dude from the jump, and he was getting a lot of love, and they were going back and forth with a couple songs. When Primo played like Above the Clouds, which is just the fire verse, and then RZA came back to do another Deck verse, which is a great verse and a great song, Assassination Day, but a slow song. Yeah. So I was like, you should have dropped Rec Room right there.
Rec Room, man. No love for Rec Room, though. But that, for sure. Yeah.
I remember when that first came out, because Stretch and Bob would always play it on a background, and I have a lot of cassette tapes of people freestyling over that beat and stuff. But
that's a good
whatever beat. But yeah, I mean, but you couldn't go wrong.
But I know Deck is on the new RA record that comes out next week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was. RA was talking live. Like everyone's doing, man. Everyone's just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna sit here and fucking do a live Instagram. And he was just like, yo, he's like, Deck murdered my fucking song.
That dude, I love Czarface. That's the best thing he's done outside of Wu. But like his guest verses on people's stuff is like ridiculous. It's just his like solo albums never quite.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, come on, man.
You could say the same thing about RZA. Like, RZA never really put out a great solo record, and he's the one, making, like, all those fucking beats. His solo catalog's a mess.
Yeah,
it's got some bangers, but, like, if you
go... No, totally. Bobby Digital has a couple of great tracks on it. But, it's bizarre.
But, like, if you're going to... Like, I don't know, there was always like 18 songs. Like, I don't know, why don't you just put 10 on and,
Yeah, like, how about like no interludes with some girl talking French about Bobby Digital, Le Bobby Digital.
Le Bobby Digital.
No, maybe let's have no more fillers, no more skits on any hip hop records for like now on.
It's coming to that.
Any presidential candidate that makes that his platform, like I'm going to ban skits off hip hop records.
You get my vote.
I'm signing up. We're going to make it great again.
Yeah. Are you mad about Bernie?
Am I mad?
I'm just saying, I was never like that. Like, when he dropped, I was thinking like, okay, whatever. I
knew it was coming. It was a slow death. That's the system. Well,
the system will always win.
Welcome to the McKine.
Welcome to the McKine.
Exactly, man. But yeah, there's a lot of like interesting things going on. That RZA thing certainly enslaved a favorite band of mine. They did a live show that they stream live, and it's available on YouTube. A great studio performance of them playing stuff, and just the bands are just trying to find their way in this world right now. Like, well, we want to do something. It might not be some big windfall of money, but like just to keep the ball going. It's confusing. So
very much so. Like that Baroness video. Like, I'm thinking like, how the hell did you guys queue up all this shit? Because in my head I'm thinking like, all right, how would you do this? So you would have to make the video. No, you would have to make the recording first, and then you would have to queue it up, and then like it was just like I'm like Charlie Day in that meme trying to figure out how everyone's doing this thing.
Yeah, they gotta get like creative in another one. There's a cattle decapitation video out too that's that they all made like from their own rooms and stuff, and like I'm hit or miss with that band, but the video's pretty clever and pretty funny. So
well, they had that one really grotesque video, like
yes, I remember that one.
Something reassignment. Something blah blah blah.
Gender reassignment surgery or something.
Yeah. And I was just like watching it, going like, "Wow, you guys really went for it."
They went all out on that one. Yeah. I'll have to post a video. This new one, but it's pretty good. But yeah, I'm trying to keep up with that stuff. What do you think this the producer DJ series, who would you like to see?
Well,
like next. I have ideas, but I would like to hear yours.
I would like to keep it super current.
Right.
I would go like Alchemist versus Static.
That's great. That's a great idea.
You know, like two newer dudes, but they're not, especially Alchemist. I guess he's not that new, but like in the last 10 years, people know who Alchemist is now.
No, that's a good match. Like those two guys, because you're not going to put like a newer guy versus like some older dude that show it wouldn't work. It'd be, bizarre. You got to keep them eras together somewhat, But I would like, if you went old, I'd love to see like Tip versus like Pete Rock or something, or Prince Paul in the mix, or Eric Sermon.
Prince Paul would be like, that would be awesome. He was posting a lot of shit yesterday.
Pharrell could do one. He had a lot of bangers at one point. There's a lot of different ways you could go,
Yeah, I think even though his body work wasn't that big, that dude Sam Sever, man. Like a lot of those old fucking like third base records and like what he did after, like you put that shit on and it's like, it's fucking killer.
Too bad Jay Dilla ain't with us no more, because he had a ridiculous catalog. He could hang with a lot of those dudes.
Yeah. What about like metal singer to metal singer doing a cappella? How about that? How about like Joey Belladonna versus like Chuck Billy?
Chuck Billy got the COVID, yeah.
Yeah, but he's recovering though, man. So
is he?
I heard, because he was on Eddie Trunk's podcast talking about his recovery, and I was like, what? Yeah. He's like, I know you got COVID, but can we talk about UFO?
Did you know that I know Ace Frehley?
Yeah. A good personal friend. Oh, hold on, he just texted me. Let me read this.
Ace.
Ace.
I've been to his wedding.
But that would be so funny, like Joey Belladonna like doing like an a cappella verse of like Indians, to like fucking mistake.
Or like have one guy sing the other dude's band's songs. Let's hear what they would sound like. Yeah, kind of like when we got to hear Lombardo play drums at Metallica. Like let's hear,
God.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's, you'll probably, if this thing depending on how long it lasts, we might see all kinds of interesting.
Well, the one thing is like technology. Like I told Parker before, 20 years ago we would be like, tying up the call waiting line, watching like whatever VHS that we happen to buy.
You might even be reading a book or something.
Yeah. Yo, you know what?
Might get that bad, yeah.
I might even have been reading a book. I'm like, you got any books I could read in here? I mean, I would have started with the magazines first and worked.
Yeah, the library's closed, bro.
But we're all like connected, and we're all kind of like
we're made for the quarantine age right now. They put all the tools in place for us.
We're situated for sure.
The Illuminati set us up nice for this.
Well, what they're doing is that they're building those 5G towers, so they need everyone inside.
Right. Yep, because they give a damn about us.
Yeah, for sure. They're like, we have a team of 5G tower makers that we can't let anyone see, because no one leaks anything.
Yeah, well, and when they all come back out, they won't notice they're here.
Yeah, totally.
Like, was that here before the quarantine? I could have sworn that big-ass tower in my front yard. I swear there was a tree there.
Do you know how this got here? It's like, nah, If that was the case, people would be fucking like, taking selfies with the tower that they were putting up, sending it to their girlfriend, and be like,
oh, yeah.
Don't tell no one, but this is what I'm doing, and we're going to get a lot of money out of this. And that shit would be
I'm renting out the front lawn.
So leaked. But
I don't know.
Any movies?
I've been trying to catch up on a lot. I mean, I've watched so much crap. I don't even know where to start, bro. It's like I've been trying to I put like so much stuff in my YouTube watch later folder for like forever. So I'm like, let me trying to watch some of these things actually.
What do you say then? Like trailers?
Oh, like I'll see like
Oh, like videos.
Skid Row and Cinderella at like the Freedom Rock Festival in Russia. Oh, I'm gonna watch that later. Click watch later. Put it in there. Never watch it.
I love that. I posted in the Red River group. By the way,
Yeah.
I got banned for like 7 days, so I can't even promote this video, this episode.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
For what? For that Paul Stanley thing?
No. There was like the finger memes, so it's like one finger, two finger, and then the third picture.
That was funny.
Well, no, you didn't see this one because the third picture had Hitler, and his fingers were shaped like a swastika.
Oh man.
Yeah. So.
Did someone reported you?
No. It's just like certain things get flagged automatically by the team. So they knocked me off for 7 days.
Wow.
I know.
Fam.
But
you better read. You're gonna get a prison tattoo.
No, I go right to Instagram, hang out there.
Oh, you got another page, don't you?
I do, but I don't remember the sign in, and I at this point I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just come back in a week. The only thing that sucks is we're gonna drop this thing tomorrow, and I can't even put it up. But anyways, talking about the Red River Facebook group, I put up this I think it's like Fresno or San Diego restoration.
Yes.
Right?
Someone sent me the Van Halen one.
Crazy,
a long time
like
ago.
78.
Oh, it's beautiful film, and the sound is superb, and it's like unearthing like a time capsule from like from like
AC/DC,
digging it up.
Def Leppard in 1980, like was On Through the Night even out?
80. I don't know. I don't know their years pre Pyromania when those came out, but it's a gold mine. Great stuff.
I've been coming to terms lately with the fact that Def Leppard actually is not really a good band.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what, like, how so? What do you?
I just feel like
a band, or like the songs, or like what do you?
Yeah, I just feel like when I really listen to those records,
right?
They're kind of like a good band,
Yeah.
When I listen to Hysteria now, I'm like, oh, Rocket is pretty terrible.
That song's awful. I don't like Hysteria though. The beginning, I like the title track, Hysteria.
Great.
I always liked that song, but I am like Pyromania, like 150%. Plus, it's like one of the first cassettes I had, so it's got a special place. But I mean, just great songs for the time and stuff. But overall, like if I look at their career, their batting average is atrocious.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like it's just like when I really come to, because they were like one of the biggest bands for me. Well, preteen. Like, I remember buying Hysteria and Appetite at the same time. Tone Loc, Loped After Dark. Yeah.
Well, you know what it is with Def Leppard? I mean, there was good quality songs there, obviously, and the sound and stuff. But like, they also, when MTV didn't have a lot of content, these guys shot some music videos, and MTV ate it up, and it all just kind of was a perfect storm in that medium to put them like insanely over the top,
Like you hear a song like "Let's Get Rocked" off of Adrenalize, and
it's awful.
That is one of the worst videos and worst songs ever. Like,
is that the one with the video with that like awful animated computer?
Yeah. What is it? I'm your ordinary. Oh man, I forget the lyrics. But it's I'm just your average, ordinary something dude, happy to do nothing. Oh man, I got to read the lyrics.
It's got like those Dire Straits Money for Nothing graphics, like working.
Yeah, like years after the fact, like they didn't even improve. I think Dire Straits.
Yeah, they're atrociously juvenile. I mean, it's. But I tell you, like Photograph, like that's like one of the greatest songs ever written. Yeah, as far as like pop rock, Yeah,
Bringing On the Heartbreak.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I would always say "Let's Get Rocked" and "Unskinny Bop" were two. Like I can't think of two worse songs. Like that's basically the mountain. Like that's the peak.
Yeah, I hated those songs. I hated Women. I hated Armageddon. I hated was the other one I'm forgetting off that record that was big?
Oh, Love Bites.
I mean, Pour Some Sugar on Me is atrocious.
Unless you're at a strip club.
Yeah, I mean, all right, that's different. That's a pass. That's,
Yeah, that's
Rob
pass.
Zombie, that stuff. That's all good there. It's got to stay there, though.
But yeah, Love Bites was the other one.
Yeah. That guitar during the chorus. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
But obviously they did all right with it. So
yeah, they did all right. And you know what's funny? I love Tommy Lee still telling everyone that the tour's going on. Like,
is he really?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
When was it supposed to start? Was that like early summer, later summer?
June 19th.
Ooh, that's a
tough one.
Yeah, because there's a lot of for a show of that size, there's going to be a lot of going into it before you even hit the road to get together. That's probably all pushed back. So, I mean,
yeah, like I just love him that he's just like, yeah, you're going to come out because everyone's going to want to have a good time after that. Just like completely, like just so. I love him just because
what's on his mind. Like, will the crew hit the road? They're not worried about like dying alone in a hospital. It's God, I hope. Like, he probably bought like 4 Ferraris the day they inked the deal for the thing. Like, that the first payment's coming in June. Like, he's like, we gotta go out.
You gotta go. Yeah, man. I love his attitude. Definitely, he's just you know what it is, because he's probably like the last to know. He has no idea. He probably doesn't even drive to the show. He gets picked up. He gets dropped off. It's like, just play the songs. This is a set list. That's all you have to do. That's it. You know.
Hey, I don't understand what the problem is. Why can't we play?
Totally.
What's going on?
COVID, dude, that sounds so bad. Like, no, all right, whatever.
That would be a great name for a band.
That would be a great name for a band. It sounds Greek, bro. Yeah.
Yo, my drum riser could incorporate like the COVID, like the virus, the picture of it. We'll put it on the bass drum when they spin me over the top of the arena.
Nikki Sixx just quit again for sure after hearing that fucking speech.
I'll play with like 2 big thermometers. There's my drumsticks. So like we'll tie it all in.
Yeah, we'll tie it all in.
Awesome. It'd be sick, dude.
We'll revive Mick Mars after he gets it.
Yeah, that guy can't go anywhere.
He can't go. He'll be playing in a coffin. That's it. But so yeah, man. What about TV, movies? Nothing. Actually, that documentary.
Which one?
When you get a chance.
I remember Mr. Cartoon. I'd heard him with he did a show with Stretch and Bob, the NPR show, but I that's all I know of him, you know. So I saw that when he posted the thing, he was one of the guys.
LA original just dropped on Netflix. Man, I had no idea how deep they were going to go into this. But it's the photographer Estevan Oriol and Mr. Cartoon, but just their connection to like Soul Assassins and you know, there's a lot of Alchemist in it. There's a lot of fucking mugs in it. Just, man, it's really just LA culture and like everything that they impacted. And
I'm sold, man.
Man, 90 minutes. I did not want that fucking movie to end. Just a cast of fucking characters and one of the best seriously, legit one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. But I think just because we love that vibe, you know. We like that, you know. They had Danny Trejo, they had Everlast on, they had fucking just everyone that we would be into. So I mean, if you're not into them, then I guess it's probably
I'm sold, man. I didn't even know that was out there.
I think it just dropped.
Yeah, no, it's I haven't. Man, I watched a couple of comedy specials. The Tom Segura Ball Hog. That's funny,
thought that was
man.
good.
Yep. Trying to catch up on some of that stuff. A lot of older things, though. I took advantage of that Shudder trial. I'm not in love with it, to be honest, yet. I don't know.
What is it that you don't like? Because I love it.
Well, like I have most of the older movies. I have them already on DVD, so I'm trying to, you know, see. Like I watched some movie, Not Afraid, that I heard was good, but that was atrocious. I watched Creep Show, the season 1.
Okay.
It was okay.
Those were hit or miss for sure.
Yeah, some stories were better than others. I'd like to see it come back. Maybe a couple of things that were a little cheap looking, if I say.
Oh,
but
no, very much so. Especially with a name like Nicotero attached.
Yeah, I was expecting a little more in the effects department. I would say, but it wasn't like I didn't stop it. I didn't I'll never watch that again. Watch the cursed films. Yeah. There's 3 of them so far?
3 of them so far. I like the Poltergeist one the most.
That's good. Those are good hit or miss again, too.
Here's how I look at it. I'm giving them $5 a month.
Right.
And they're giving me a lot of stuff, a lot of content. Sure, I've seen the Friday the 13th movies all the time, but when you're going to put them up there and I'm going to have access to them, it's worth my money.
Yeah, no, it's there's definitely some good stuff on it. And I'm going to keep it on after the 30 days is up and still fuck with it and stuff, But
the cursed films things too, like what I'm beginning to notice after watching the first 3 is this seems like it could have been a 60-minute documentary. Like there was no need. Like they could have just done 6 movies.
Each show could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Once they started talking to the Church of Satan members about I'm like, shut up with the guy sitting in his throne with his cheesy neck. Like I see stuff like that. I'm like, who are you talking to these clowns? I mean, really?
You're
as goofy as the other side. You know what I mean?
That's how I felt too. Like once they started doing like a exorcism in the first episode, I was like, oh, you lost me on this one. Like I don't.
Yeah, that's the stuff you could have just chopped it down, like you said, perfect. You could have made an hour and a half film and chopped it up into the films. Because how many other films could be discussed? I mean, I already knew the stories behind Poltergeist and Exorcist and The Omen. I kind of knew those ones, so I don't even know where they.
I think they have The Crow.
Okay.
And Twilight Zone and one other one.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's 6.
So basically any movie that somebody died while they made it.
Yeah, totally.
And only horror movies. Yeah.
For sure. But, whatever, man. I've been packing them in, too. It's just a lot of time. No weekends of doing anything. So, I watched something on Shudder called The Room.
Okay.
Man, that was fucking great. So,
oh yeah.
Actually, since you have Shudder, I'll just give you a quick little synopsis, beyond what it says. So, this couple moves into this house in upstate New York, and what they notice is there's a room in this house that's kind of hidden, and when you sit in this room, whatever you wish for comes true.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's $1 million or whatever you want, you get it in this room. But as soon as you leave the house with these things, it ages and deteriorates.
Mm-hmm.
So you're you can have anything you want, but once you take it out of the house, it it dies.
Kind of like a Twilight Zone kind of episode thing.
It's very, very much like that. And
okay. So I'm interested.
Yeah, man, it's very dark, and it gets very heady and crazy. Also, another movie that I just recently saw that kind of in the same vein, sorta, was Vivarium. Did you hear of that one yet?
No.
So that's Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots.
I hate that guy.
Oh, okay. I thought you hated her name.
Jesse.
Yeah. Oh, I hate him too. I want to I don't know. I hate him. I want Michael Cera back.
Yeah, really, man.
But this movie, same thing. That they're a couple and they go see a house, and somehow they're stuck in this house after the realtor shows it to them, and somebody drops off a box and it has a baby. And this baby, they have to raise this baby, and this baby ages very rapidly. It's it's very weird. If you look up the name of Vivarium, you'll figure out.
And that's on Shudder also?
No, that I actually rented on YouTube.
Okay.
So on occasion, when I think of going to the movies and how much that costs with two people.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can't find this anywhere else. It's not streaming anywhere.
Totally. I was just actually going to do that tonight with the on Prime. There's a Wax Trax documentary. I'm trying to remember, Ministry and that Chicago label.
Yep.
I don't remember the title, but they have it on Amazon for like $3.99 or something like that.
Yeah,
dying to see that.
Completely awesome and worth it. So,
Yep.
But okay, cool. Anything else?
Word. No, man, that's
you've said it all.
Think of. I said it all, fam.
You've said it all. I love that Stern is doing his show kind of the same way now.
I haven't seen. I've been out of the loop with him.
Yeah, they're all doing what we're doing right now, just taping a show, and
just to keep it going, man.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. So, all right, cool. So I'm gonna.
Well, if you want, when you have it together, I could post it up, or you can wait to get out of jail. I don't know what you want to do.
Oh yeah, no, I'll send you. It'll be all posted. You're just gonna have to. It'll go to all our stuff, so I'll just send it to you.
Oh, yeah, that's true. No, that's right. Yeah,
I just can't make a post about it.
Right. I got you. Yes.
All right.
All right, man.
So I'll talk to you, and that's it, man. We'll do it again soon.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. All right. Cool. Hey, Thom Bennett.
Cool.
Welcome to Red River. Finally, tell everyone what you do, because you do stuff for. First of all, you went to school for movies, right? Some shit like that.
Correct. Yeah. No, I actually have a master's degree in film history, which is about the most useless degree you can have in the world.
Unless you're
for my job. Yeah, but I also I schedule movies for video on demand, so I do sort of get to put it to use, my film nerdery. So that's
absolutely, and it's not affecting your work at the moment, right? With all this shit.
No, actually, people are home watching movies, so it's doing better than it normally would.
Good.
And a lot of studios are releasing movies directly to VOD, so it's.
I know.
Interesting.
I just watched. I watched The Hunt, and I watched The Invisible Man. Did you watch those?
I saw The Invisible Man. I did not watch The Hunt yet. So.
Okay. What did you think of The Invisible Man?
I liked it. I thought it was good. It was a really good thriller. I didn't think I would like it, and I liked it infinitely more than I thought I would. So
I went in thinking the same thing. I went in thinking. I was going to love The Hunt and not really care about The Invisible Man. I ended up kind of liking The Hunt and really loving The Invisible Man because my bar was so low, but I thought the atmospherics of Invisible Man, the tension, I thought it was very well made. Like from beginning to end, I was not bored for 1 second.
It's no Memoirs of an Invisible Man, but it's...
Yeah, shout out to Chevy Chase. So yeah, man, I also tell people about your movie tattoos.
I have a lot of movie tattoos.
Give me your three.
Actually,
your three. Give me like three good ones.
My three movies that I have tattoos of. The Wicker Man. The OG Wicker Man. I've never even seen the remake of The Wicker Man. I have a tattoo of the Marx Brothers on the back of my arm.
Nice.
I have a John Waters and Divine tattoo on my forearm.
Yeah, so
and then I have two tattoos from one of the movies by Edgar Wright, actually. Same movie, though.
Okay.
Two Scott Pilgrim tattoos.
So, just so everyone knows, I mean, you're the real deal right there. You're more legit than any of us put together. So what I wanted to talk to
I have a couple of quarantine fever tattoos that when I can get out of my house and into a tattoo place. I got a couple things on the back burner. So
Do you have any metrics as far as your job as to what the most viewed VOD thing is at the moment?
I can tell you, I mean, the most viewed VOD thing by far is Tiger King, but the weird is Contagion. The movie Contagion is doing remarkably for like a library movie, like a non-new release movie. Contagion across every platform that it's on is the #1 movie.
Now, I've never
not a very good movie.
Yeah, I was going to say
not a very good movie.
I've seen all the other ones, you know, Outbreak and fucking Quarantine and all that other shit. I've never seen Contagion.
Yeah, I'm a big 12 Monkeys fan at this time. I think
okay. I asked you, because I know you're a big Edgar Wright fan, I thought it'd be a lot of fun for you to basically list, you know, for the most part, he has 5 movies, right?
Yeah, I mean, he has a 6th, his first movie, but I mean, that kind of doesn't count. It's sort of just a remake of a student film. It's not great, but it's, you can see where he was going, I guess, if you watch it. It's on YouTube. It's not really available too much. It's called Fistful of Fingers.
Okay. Fistful of Fingers, that's funny. What about his new one coming out, One Night in Soho?
One Night in Soho is supposed to come out in September, I think September 25th. Actually, a few weeks before all of this went down, we had a meeting at work with Universal, and they were talking about Last Night in Soho, how they didn't know anything about it, other than like any more than anyone else knew, even though, you know, they just had a release date for it. That he's kind of keeping it as under wraps as possible, even from the studio.
Okay.
So hopefully it still comes out. I mean, it'll be interesting to see for the rest of the year what happens as far as these movies getting pushed around. If some of the smaller, like indie movies, like, you know, like Wes Anderson has a movie coming out in the summer. I wonder if that'll come out this year or next year, or, you know, the movies coming out at the end of the year, if they end up pushing them into the beginning of next year. So hopefully not.
What's it like having 2 kids at home that you have to, like, I would imagine it's harder to basically, you know, especially the young one, like, you know, what do you tell them at this point?
Well, I mean, they're occupied because they have school. Even, I mean, they're supposed to be off like this week, and they don't have off this week. They have actual schoolwork and stuff to do. Yeah, I mean, my kids are kind of chill, so they're. I can imagine other people having a much worse time than I am. I mean, yeah, they're sort of chill. They sat and watched a couple of Edgar Wright movies with me earlier today,
Very cool.
As I was getting ready for this. So,
what about their musical taste? What is the one band that they like that you hate?
They're kind of less into music than they are into either like cartoons and you know, TV shows and stuff. So they don't really. I mean, they kind of listen to what I listen to for the most part. I mean, you know, they don't very much actively put on anything.
Okay. So nothing.
So much.
Lots of Pogues.
lots of Pogues, lots of Descendants. You know, we try to run a tight ship here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't mind. Unlike, you know, it's the least punk thing to say, but I really don't mind pop music at all. I mean, a lot of pop music.
Me neither. I'm with you.
I mean, it's well documented amongst my friends that I love Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift and all that stuff. So, you know, it's, you know, I can appreciate very good pop, but well executed pop music, you know,
for sure.
Even if it doesn't really stand the test of time. The Miley Cyrus, the Taylor Swift documentary, I would also highly recommend.
I thought that was great.
Seen it on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's just super interesting. I mean, music docs for the most part, I will watch something that, you know, on the surface I have no interest in, and usually I'm pleasantly surprised, you know, that I'm more interested in it than I thought I would be, you know.
Yeah, I mean, unless sometimes Amazon, like, I feel like Netflix does a little bit more quality control as far as, like, you know, whatever they put up. I thought the ZZ Top one was good. You know, Sam Dunn's crew did that one. But once you switch over to Amazon, like that, you know, you'll be watching like a Mentors documentary. Like, it's just
yeah. I mean, they go a little bit more specific and deep on Amazon. You know, you get some like random.
You get random shit. I love that Rainbow doc.
But I mean. I actually saw that. I saw that a long time ago. It was supposed to come out, and then it didn't come out. So I had seen that probably like a year, well over a year ago at work. Because I get to. I mean, the best part of my job being that I get to watch movies for a decent portion of the day and get access to screener sites and stuff. So I get to see a lot of stuff.
InXS one too. I still haven't seen a Michael Hutchins one.
Which was great. Yeah, I mean, that one was, that one's a downer, but it's, yeah, no, I mean, there's a ton, I don't know. I always find musicians inherently interesting, I guess, for the most part.
Sure.
So,
one day you'll get the band together, man, for sure.
As someone with absolutely no musical talent, I can appreciate musicians, I guess, more than
now's the time. Now's the time to play that bass. But all right, let's talk Edgar Wright. So
sure,
we have 5 movies. What would you say number 5 is?
Number 5, I'm going with Hot Fuzz. Now, I caveat all of this with the fact that he has as perfect a filmography of anybody. Him and Wes Anderson for me are probably the two. Like, they really have never fucked it up at this point. I mean, they make movies that I like less than some of their other movies, but I mean, they really haven't shit the bed terribly on anything yet. It'll, I'm sure, eventually, law of averages.
So Hot Fuzz.
Eventually. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say Hot Fuzz, right? So that's your number 5 right there. So let's talk about. Let's break it down real quick. So I'm going to ask. Okay. I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite scene from Hot Fuzz?
My favorite scene is the scene where, like, in the beginning, Simon Pegg, he's like never drinking, and he has his cranberry juice when he goes to the bar and stuff. The first time that Simon Pegg's character Nicholas Angel and Nick Frost's character Danny sit and have a drink together, because it's like kind of the first time they open up to each other, and you get like one seems completely like a cop who's really good at his job, but like overly ambitious, kind of, and overly, kind of overdoing it. And Nick Frost just seems like a complete fuck up, but like you realize that they complement each other really well. And that's the first scene where they sort of seem to like each other, and then they get drunk, and then they go back and watch Point Break, which is
nice. Yeah, I mean, that's fun. That's the best. So second question I'm going to ask you is, in Hot Fuzz, what is your favorite character?
My favorite character is probably the character that's played by Olivia Colman, actually. I just think, I just, every time she talks in the movie, I think it's funny. Like, she's the only female cop in the movie. And she's just like, everything she says is just filthy. Like, the rest of them are all just, they're, doing their thing. And like, everything that comes out of her mouth is just filthy, and it's just funny. And then, like, to see her win an Oscar a few years later. Is like,
really? For what movie?
What did she win for? She just won. What is it? The Favorite? Was that the movie that she won?
Okay, that's the one. That's the one. Yogos or whatever is Lager.
Yeah,
that's the one movie I haven't watched.
But no, it's great. Like even looking back through his movies, like just the amount of like the stacked casts in these movies. Like that. Like every British actor, obviously, but then. He's just getting like these amazing casts, and people just want to work with him. So, it's kind of interesting.
Now, obviously, this is a movie that you love, but if you could pick one scene, what is your oh no, actually, this is least favorite character. Sorry.
But my least favorite character is probably the Simon Pegg character. I mean, it's a very good character, and he plays it really well. I don't love things about police. I don't love the police.
You're like me.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I'm not. It's just. It's a little. Yeah, I get that they're playing on all of the whole, the whole idea of like a police movie. So it's funny, but yeah, I mean, of all of them, it's my least. It's the one that I certainly watch the least out of his movies.
Okay.
But I mean, I think it's a great. It's still a great movie, and if it's on, I still watch it. But yeah, the Simon Pegg character, I find the rest of the characters a lot more interesting.
Gotcha.
the way that they interact with him versus his character himself, the character he's playing.
So, like I told you, we're going to ask you 5 questions for each movie. The fourth question coming in is the one scene that you would take out of this movie.
So it's not a specific scene in this movie, but like the chases in the movie, like the chases on foot, seem to go on for a long time. And the strong suit of Edgar Wright's movies tend to be the editing. And I just feel like some of it the movie could be shorter in general. I think that would
it's
sort
close
of help
to like
it.
2 hours. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it's probably the longest of his movies, and it's just there's scenes where they're just running and I'm just like it could be tightened up a little bit, I guess, is my
cool. And the fifth, which is my favorite question: if you were in the movie, what character would you be?
I was torn on this one between the Nick Frost character, who's just a completely inept cop who like draws little cartoons in his like in his notebook, to the character that Bill Bailey plays, who's like he's a desk sergeant in the movie, where he plays actually 2 twin brothers in the movie, but like he just completely seems to like not give a shit about his job whatsoever, and I don't know.
You could relate.
I feel like if I was a cop, I'd be somewhere between inept and not giving a shit. So I feel like between those two,
you'd be like Fackler from Police Academy.
I'd be looking to see when I could retire from the moment I got in there. I mean,
Awesome. So that's number 5, Hot Fuzz. Now we're going down the list.
Yes.
So let's do number 4. Your number 4 favorite Edgar Wright movie
is Shaun of the Dead. Which is obviously his first like kind of real movie that he made. And again, I love Shaun of the Dead. But there are 3 that I like more than Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, I guess.
And what's the deal with like the trilogy? What's the name of the trilogy again?
The Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah. So
Cornetto, for those unfamiliar, Cornetto is a kind of like it's a kind of like a pre-made ice cream cone that you buy at like a shop in England, and there's all different flavors. It's sort of like I don't know, like the king cones that we have here.
Yeah,
it's sort of like that. It comes in like a paper wrapper, and you get it, and it has like nuts or something on top. And basically the only thing that connects those 3 movies is that at some point you see a cornetto. The cornettos really have nothing specific to do with the movie.
Yeah, I love that.
The movies really have nothing to do with each other than, the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Edgar Wright. And fun fact, the first thing with all the thousands of years of history, when I was in London 2 years ago with Mike Garland, first thing he wanted to do was have all 3 flavors of cornettos.
That's awesome.
That was his quest. We made sure to do that.
Hell yeah.
We didn't see Buckingham Palace, but we had all 3 flavors of cornetto. So
shout out
priority.
to Mike Garland. All right, so Shaun of the Dead, favorite scene.
My favorite scene is when they first realize that they're zombies, when there's a girl in the garden, and they go out back and they start throwing records at her, and they're going through the records, and some he doesn't want to throw.
Yes, that is good.
I just love that scene just because it's I can relate as somebody.
That is a good scene.
Somebody who has too many records, that would be, and it's a completely like ridiculous and inept way to try to take out the zombies. Is just sit and throw records, and they miss like 3 out of every 4 that they throw. So.
And so number 2 question, favorite character of Shaun of the Dead?
Favorite character is probably the Nick Frost character.
Me too.
Because, he's just, again, I don't think seeing the way the world is now, like Shaun of the Dead is oddly relatable to like where we are now, but it's like Nick Frost he just seems like a nice, inept dude who's just caught up in it, like, and doesn't really, he's not trying to be a hero or anything else. He's just sort of like caught up in it like everybody else. So, Yeah, I mean, I find Nick Frost very just funny.
Yeah,
in general, in everything. Like I always find him to be the funnier of the two when they're together.
I like when he pops up in things like Attack the Block.
A year or so ago, my friend was at a convention and he had Nick Frost call me on the phone.
Oh, that's so
cool. That was kind of fun. So I got to talk. He called me a cunt and asked me where I was and then hung up. That was the entire conversation I had with Nick Frost. So.
That's up there. We're getting a call from Sour Shoes, but
yes.
Number 3, least favorite character of Shaun of the Dead.
Least favorite character in Shaun of the Dead is, again, the Simon Pegg character, Shaun, because it's a good character, and I mean they're all necessary to be in the movie, but he's just sort of a whiny character the whole time until the end when he sort of rises to the occasion.
You're right,
but he seems like sort of just he's kind of an asshole, but he's fine. He's an asshole like the rest of us. He forgets important things, and doesn't really want to go to work and all that stuff like the rest of us.
Like
but
the rest of us.
I don't know, something about the character I just find, especially watching it over again, he's just a very whiny character the whole time. But a great character actually. Just
for sure.
At least probably
no one likes a whiner.
And there's really not that many characters in that movie. I mean, there's just a handful of people in that movie, so it's it's harder to pick.
And number 4, the one scene that you would take out of this gorgeous movie.
The end when Nick Frost is a zombie and he's playing video games on the couch for some reason. I just feel like they could have ended it before that or just ended it differently. Because it just seems completely ridiculous that that he's even still keeping him around at that point. Even though, yes, I mean, it's a ridiculous movie and a comedy, but it just seems
ended early for sure.
Could have ended before then.
I'm with you. And then the last one, if you were in this movie, Shaun of the Dead, what character would you play?
That's a good. I'd either be Philip, like the old dad who he hates and ends up getting killed, but probably more like Nick Frost again, just completely inept and fucking up the entire situation during the zombie apocalypse. I don't think I'm not a great survivalist. I'm the only reason this what's going on now is tolerable is because we have movies and I have a lot of records and a lot of things to listen to and a lot of food to eat. Any minor the second I don't have something that I want to eat, I'm not great. I'm not great. I'm not great in tough situations. So
yeah, man. So are you going out shopping?
Yeah, I mean as little as possible. Trying to go maybe once a week just to get milk and all of a sudden everybody's drinking milk like it's fucking going out of style. Meanwhile, I buy milk in a normal week and end up throwing it out because nobody wants it. I don't drink milk, so. But all of a sudden, things that nobody would ever normally eat seem to be going. One thing that I like is Cheez-Its. It's the one I'm not a big snack person, and I bought myself a $1 Cheez-Its. Nobody ever eats it, and I went the other day. It's fucking empty. I'm like, what the fuck? And it turns out everybody's suddenly eating Cheez-Its. So
I'm telling you, I've eaten more. I've snacked more in the last month than I have in the last 18 months. It fucking sucks.
The problem is I'm not eating at normal times. I seem to be eating when I'm working and going. So it's just you're just sort of thrown off, and then I always end up eating late, which I hate to do. And then I don't know, it fucks me up. But
that's why you got that awesome girlish figure.
Absolutely.
All right. So number 3 of your Edgar Wright movies is?
Number 3 is Baby Driver.
Okay.
And Baby Driver, obviously Baby Driver is Edgar Wright has 2 movies that don't fit into his trilogy, Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim. And I just find Baby Driver just an unbelievably executed movie.
Unbelievably executed. That might be my favorite of his 5.
And then there's on the DVDs and stuff, there's making ofs and just the amount of thought that went into every single thing in that movie. from the songs to the soundtrack to the editing, like gunshots to the beats of songs. And he got them to give permission for him to use a clip from Monsters, Inc., which Disney has never given permission to use anything Disney in a rated R movie up until that point. And when they heard it was for Edgar Wright, they just kind of let him do it, which is funny because he had sort of a tenuous relationship with Marvel because of Ant-Man, like when he was directing Ant-Man, and that all kind of went up in the air. So
I didn't even know that was the case. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they used his script still, but like he ended up not, he quit because they were having creative differences. I think they were afraid of like his style not gelling with the rest of the Marvel. They all sort of have to have a look, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, man, Baby Driver, loved it. But like I said, definitely probably my favorite of the 5. But let's go.
It's also one of my oldest son, Shane. It's one of his 2 favorite movies. Baby Driver and Dunkirk are his 2 favorite movies of all time.
Oh, so. Wow. That's definitely, those are 2 really good ones. But just the music alone for sure. But favorite scene in Baby
I mean,
Driver.
that's the other thing is like in his movies. I mean, the soundtracks are
insane,
amazing in all of them. Yeah. I mean, but even from Shaun of the Dead, like using like Ghost Town by the Specials and everything, and then I mean they kind of get more interesting from there. But I mean, Baby Driver is like such a specifically soundtrack driven movie that it's one of the best assembled soundtracks I've ever heard, but just also the way it's used, like it's not, you can tell a lot of thought went into it rather than just like, oh, this song kind of works here.
Oh no. So much stuff.
Like the song, there's so many songs that are like almost like characters in the movie.
I mean, it's the songs are a character in a movie for sure. It's another character. From the moment that you just start watching it, you're like, okay, this is going to be like this. I just watched The Gentleman yesterday, and same thing. Guy Ritchie did such a great job with that soundtrack. But
I think that's one of the last movies I saw in a theater before that became not a thing you could do.
Yeah. Yeah, just sit apart from people with a mask. But I
mean that was such a fun movie, and then like the Wu-Tang music in that, like the weird Wu-Tang music, like that was just so well done. Yeah, that movie's great.
And just the storytelling of it all, on how it starts, and you're like, wait, what's going on? It's just great.
It's like when Guy Ritchie goes and makes Guy Ritchie movies, they're so much fun. I mean, I enjoy them. And then when he does anything else, it's sort of completely not interesting or a disaster.
I'm glad he came back with this one.
Yeah.
Favorite scene from Baby Driver?
My favorite scene from Baby Driver is kind of torn between the opening credits where he's just like walking down the street to go get the coffee, and it's like all sets the music.
Yep.
But I mean, because it also happens to be one of my favorite songs and favorite bands of all time, is the bank robbery when they play Neat, Neat, Neat by The Damned. And he starts the song over because he's like, oh, wait, we got, like he's timing everything to the song, and then the song's already starting. So he's like, all right, no, let me start the song over before they can go do the bank robbery.
I love that. I thought that was so smart.
That's such a great scene.
Yeah, that he's like timing it too. So, so number 2, favorite character.
My favorite character is probably the John Hamm character.
I was going to say the same.
John Hamm, and the what's her name? Isa Gonzalez, is that her name? Who plays Darling. But their relationship I find really interesting, and also they're just good characters. They have like their interaction, but the interaction between them two, I find the most interesting. Again, like the main character, Baby, like it's cool, but it just sort of facilitates a lot of time. Like I feel like it's just facilitating other characters in the movie. But the other weird thing about this movie is just Kevin Spacey is like, that's the last time you're going to see Kevin Spacey in a movie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, shout out to
I'm watching this, and every time he comes on, I'm like, he's so he's just. I never thought Kevin Spacey was like weird looking until now. Suddenly, like Kevin Spacey's just like in everything. I find Kevin Spacey just like very off-putting and weird looking to look at. So it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Everything gets framed by everything else. But yeah, no, I find that the John Hamm, like that character is just I don't know. He's just a cool character, and the role it's the only role that was specifically written for anyone in the movie was Edgar Wright wrote it for John Hamm. So.
Nice. So number 3, least favorite character of Baby Driver.
I mean, there's sort of a throwaway scene where Flea is a character in the movie for a little bit.
You're right.
Some guy named like
Yep.
No Nose Eddie or
Michael
and
Myers.
It's just I don't know if it's not the character so much as the cameo. It just seemed so ridiculously unnecessary to me for some reason.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the character Bat that Jamie Foxx plays is just a completely frustrating character, just because he's such a dick and makes everything so much more difficult. But I mean, that also makes the movie work. Is like his just being like such a just a psychopath that like everything they do could go much easier if he didn't fuck it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason it's so funny because when we first saw it, when Flea showed up, I saw it with Mike Garland and my son, and I was just like, "What the fuck? Like why? That's a perfect time to cameo like anyone who's been like throw Michael Cera in there, throw like somebody who's in another one of your movies in there.
That would have been great.
Like Flea just seemed weird to me. Like it's just like a weird. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, just like weird random.
For some reason, that character just like when that comes on, it just like it takes me right out of it. I'm like, oh, it's fucking Flea. Meanwhile, everybody else is somebody famous in the movie too, but for some reason, Flea throws me off in this movie.
Well, you know what? Kiedis got that cameo in Point Break, so let Flea get a little something.
Yeah, and Point Break ties into Hot Fuzz. It's interesting because like his favorite musician, seemingly Edgar Wright, is Beck, because I mean he directed a video for Beck. Beck, he mentioned he name checks Beck in Baby Driver. Beck did all of the music for Scott Pilgrim, so it's like, why not just put Beck in there instead of Flea? I think that's just me recasting his movie, which he's fine without. He's doing fine without my help. Yeah. So
I don't, definitely. I mean, I'm sure you could definitely get a nice position in Edgar Wright Enterprises after this episode. Number 4, the one scene of Baby Driver that you would take out.
Almost the entire end of the movie.
Wow.
After he goes to jail.
Yeah.
It's weird because the only thing that bothers me about it is like you get no real sense of how long it is. And I don't know, he comes out and he looks kind of exactly the same. I mean, he kind of has a baby face, so maybe he's just going to look the same anyway. But like, it seems like he would go to jail for, even being cooperative and whatever, he seems like he would go to jail for a long time. Like there's a lot of stuff happens in that movie.
There's a lot of carnage.
But it just, the end doesn't sort of make sense to me, but it's the ending the movie also needs. Like you need a nice ending on it.
Yeah.
And apparently they're making, he's making a sequel to it at some point. So I don't know what that's going to be or how that's going to work. He's one of those directors that I was always hoping like he wouldn't make a sequel to anything. So
I think it was just such a big hit, man.
It's and a surprise hit, and it was like his sort of like he was working for years on Ant-Man, and it was like, oh, by the way, I also have this script, so here, why don't I just do this
because
instead?
Even the action, like the action sequences in Baby Driver, that's what really threw me, because they were so ambitious, but they landed, and they didn't seem like there was like no CGI. There was like everything seemed like it was just real fucking deal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just that movie. Just it's one of the most perfectly executed movies. Like you can tell exactly what he was going. Like there's not a thing in there that he wasn't going for.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he ever looks at that movie again and it's like, oh, I would have done this differently. Like I think he had everything so laid out and thought out that for him, I mean, it's probably like in his mind, like as good as he is ever going to,
He's right.
Like he's at the top of his game, and he knows exactly what he wants and exactly.
Except it's your number 3. So.
And now he's at the point where he seemingly can make any movie he wants to make. Like it seems like they're like going to let him do his thing. So.
So Thom Bennett, I ask you number 5. If you were in Baby Driver, who would you play?
I mean, I'd like to think I could be like Baby and like drive really cool. But like, and like be really good, but be really good behind the wheel. And like, but I think mostly just like the character of Baby, the thing I like, the walking around with like listening to music all the time. Like I never am not listening to music for the most part. So It's like, I find that so relatable. Like I can't sit in silence. I have to listen to something all the time. And like, I used to like, and it like reminds me, Baby, like I used to put for like 6 months when I was commuting into the city for work, I would put on the same album when I was walking from my train to my office every day. I would put on Blue Lines by Massive Attack.
Oh, wow. Good one.
Just cause like, it just sort of like, all these people rushing around with this kind of like chill trip hoppy kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Like, so it's sort of like, I listen to music to try to frame how I see things and how I kind of interact or ignore the outside world. So it's, I relate to that a lot. So
that's why, so getting into like, the video stuff that we've been doing lately, I'm just watching people do it and I'm thinking like, anytime I would listen to music back then or today, like I would always, maybe just growing up with MTV like we did, I just always see visuals with whatever music. So same thing, man. Like I like picking the right song for the right mood, whether you're driving or walking or just sitting at home. So I could totally relate to that. So number 2, Edgar Wright movie.
World's End. Which I love this movie. When it first came out, again, after like I loved Hot Fuzz, I loved Shaun of the Dead, and then when I was like, oh, he's doing a third one, and it didn't. Not everybody loved it who loved his other movies, and I didn't get to see it until like a couple of weeks after it came out. So I had heard from enough people that I was going to be disappointed that I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to be disappointed. And I went in and it was my favorite of the 3.
Awesome.
I mean, you take the sci-fi part out of it and it's the most relatable. It's like this dude trying to like get his old friends back together to do something that was important to him, less important to them. He hasn't grown up. The rest of them have all gone on with their lives. So, I just found it to be like a kind of a sympathetic character. Also just, I mean, it's just funny, like again, and the soundtrack to it, like, Soup Dragons and stuff, like, it's just like this amazing soundtrack, but also just that character I just find hilarious, like because like they break his balls for having like a Sisters of Mercy tattoo, and I'm like, I look at myself, I'm like, I have more fucking ridiculous tattoos than I could ever possibly explain away. So
definitely have a Charlie Chaplin tattoo somewhere, don't you?
I do have a Charlie Chaplin tattoo, an Orson Welles tattoo. I mean, I have
you
a
got
lot
Third
of,
Man. I'm like, I don't even know what Third Man was till I met you. So okay, cool. So World's End. Let's do favorite scene from the movie.
My favorite scene is the first time that when he convinces them all to do the Golden Mile, to do the 12 pubs and get the 12 drinks. And they all meet up at the train station and they're just discussing him before he gets there. And it's just such a great scene there. They're like, and then, like they all know that like it's a terrible idea, but they're all there, for him anyway. And they're like, which one of us is the biggest idiot for doing this? And then all of a sudden you see Nick Frost across the train platform, who's just like, whatever. And then, it's just, like it's the first time they're together without him. And it's like,
the conversation,
you can tell they're happy to be together.
Yeah.
And they never would have gotten together without him getting them together. but then also, like they realize it's probably a terrible idea.
For sure.
But then once they're actually together, they're happy to be together.
And it felt like real and relatable, and it felt like like you've heard that conversation before.
Yeah, and I mean, just with the casting is like they're all friends. Like they're all friends in real life. Like he's, like most of them have been in others of his movies. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Patty Considine, Martin Freeman. They've all been in other Edgar Wright movies. So it's like almost just getting them back. Like it's about getting like the gang back together, which is basically what that movie was anyway. It's just like, hey, let's make another third movie. So
for sure. So favorite character.
My favorite character in the movie is probably the Patty Considine character, Steve, because you could tell he was always in awe of Simon Pegg when they were younger, but then like now as an adult, like he's kind of seeing him for what he is, and realizing that they were big, like the amount of ridiculous things they probably did when they were younger. I also probably have a decent sized man crush on Patty Considine though, in any movie he's in. So, no, I think he's just it's a really good character. It's like the middle of he's like sort of the middle of the pack of those characters, because it's like every kind of character amongst the five of them that get together. But yeah, I mean, you can tell like they had history the whole time, but like, and he seems completely annoyed by him the whole time, but at the same time, he completely has his back when it's time to have his back, he completely has his back. So
for sure,
it's, I just, I think it's just a really good character.
Makes sense. Good pick. So number 3, least favorite character in World's End.
This was again hard because I kind of, more than all of the movies, I like the way that they all interact with each other. But the Martin Freeman character, I just was the least, the character I like the least. Again, he's very important. If you without spoiling the movie, he's probably of them the more important than the rest of them. Like he turns out, to be more involved than you think. But like, yeah, I just, for the first half of the movie, I was just completely not interested in this character until it sort of,
until it kicks off.
It becomes the other movie that it becomes.
Yeah.
Can you spoil a 7-year-old movie? I don't even know anymore. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, who knows? It's funny. It's a funny question too. People watch things at different times, even like tonight. When The Walking Dead plays, like I'll always see people like write something, and it's just, I don't know, just.
I mean, there are people who like to immediately spoil it for somebody else, but I mean, it's funny though, because like I know of the 3 movies, like if you saw Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, you may very well have not seen World's End. So. Yeah, it is my second favorite of the Edgar Wright movies. So.
Yeah, I've seen obviously Shaun, and I've seen this, but I've never seen Hot Fuzz. Well,
you might have an aversion to cops, so
Yeah. Number 4 question is in The World's End, if there's one scene that you would take out, what would it be?
There is a fight. There's a fight scene in the bathroom of the pub.
I've seen that. I love it. How dare you?
It goes on too long.
Okay.
Like it just goes on. It could be a little shorter. Again, I love this movie, so I mean, I really wouldn't change very much about it.
That gave me a Halloween 3 vibe. That scene.
Yeah, I mean, he's another one like with Tarantino and people like that. Like they just grew up watching movies, so like everything they do is so like tipping the hat to something else that they love. So I mean,
I love that.
It's I mean, it's. I mean, again, even like going back to Hot Fuzz, it's like that's just a movie about police movies. So it's like they're just sort of anything that you think that you've seen. It's like a combination of like The Wicker Man meets like Wicker Man, like a police officer from a bigger place going to like the backwoods to kind of deal with like all the weird small town stuff.
The remake
and then
of the Wicker Man,
like the original Wicker Man. I wouldn't. I don't. I know there's bees in the remake. Aside from that, I don't really know very much about it.
Okay, so World's End. Last question: if you were in the movie, who would you play?
I would probably be Gary King, the character played by Simon Pegg, because again, I love a good pub crawl.
Yeah.
I would be, as anyone, you don't drink, so you've never really fallen victim to this, but I mean, I'm pretty good at dragging people around bars, and
I've been dragged by
making them make bad decision after bad decision. And his love of Sisters of Mercy, which is, one of the greatest bands of all time. And, so I can definitely relate. But then at the end, he kind of rises to the occasion and becomes heroic in like an apocalyptic situation, which seems to be an ongoing theme. And that's where I would sort of not do very well. So, but the music and, going on the pub crawl part is certainly, making people go out on a pub crawl who don't want to go out on a pub crawl is a superpower that I possess. So.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to number one. And I know that you love this movie. I love this movie. I know that you wanted to do a Halloween set of the band that's in.
Yes. At some point that will happen. We need to assemble the right crew of people. But yes, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Yes, I did want to do a Sex Bomb set at various points on Halloween for different Halloweens. I love Scott Pilgrim. I love the books. I love the movie. The movie and the books are so different from each other, yet it's a perfect, like, they combine characters to make it work as a movie. The books have a lot of stuff in it that were not in the movie, but it works perfectly as a movie. Like, if you tried to do all of this, you would have to make multiple movies. When Scott Pilgrim came out, it didn't do that well theatrically,
no,
so they were never going to get to make a second one anyway. So I don't think, beyond comic book nerds, I don't think anyone knew what Scott Pilgrim was. I had never read them until after I saw the movie, so
I just thought it was
interesting.
Awesome. I just thought it was awesome because visually, it's one of those movies that visually was just like overwhelming.
It's visually like nothing like that I had really ever like that it worked. Like, it's video game stuff. It's making, because they combined elements of, like, there's a Scott Pilgrim video game. They combined elements of that. They combined a lot of the graphic novel stuff. I mean, there's a few animated sequences, but I mean, even the opening credits, the way the opening credits are in Scott Pilgrim, it's like right away, like when they do the Universal logo and it's like the pixelated 8-bit, like, with the MIDI track kind of playing behind it. Like, right away, it's kind of setting it up for what it's going to be. And I mean, it's one of the most perfectly cast, like, having read the books, it's like everybody looks like the people they're playing. Everybody sort of acts like the people that they're playing.
I love seeing,
and the soundtrack is just unbelievable. The original songs that are like meant to be, not like the Sex Bomb songs, which are meant to be not great songs. But from what I've been told, and when we've been trying to do the Sex Bomb sets, it's like they're remarkably complicated to sound not complicated, because Beck and Nigel Goodrich wrote all of them. So they're like complicated, uncomplicated songs. So
is that the dude from Bush?
No, Nigel Goodrich is the Radiohead's producer.
Oh, okay.
So they did him and Beck did the music for the movie. And then, I mean, just the songs that they use throughout the movie are just great.
Let's get into it.
Ramona by Beck. I heard Ramona sing by Frank Black. And it, like, the Beachwood Sparks cover of Sade, which is great. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously one of my favorite movies, but also it's just a perfect movie. Like there's never a time where I won't watch it. When we went up to Toronto again with Garland and Steph and Jackson and my kids, we went up to Toronto last year and we did like we came up with a tour of like the imaginary location or the locations where it was shot, but like the locations in both the comic book and movie where it takes place. And we went to the various places, like where he rides a skateboard down the rails and all that. We went to all the different places and did our own tour of an imaginary world. And we even ate pizza, which was terrible pizza. And we had it twice, but we went to the one that they eat in the movie. So, that was, that big nerd, like nobody, like people, if people were watching us, they would just wonder what the fuck we were doing. It was just like a random.
I'm sure your kids were wondering that too. Let's get into it then. So, Scott Pilgrim, favorite scene? There's two, and for two different reasons. The first time he talks to Ramona, where he kind of like walks up to her against the wall and just starts babbling about Pac-Man, is like so relatable to like anybody who's ever gone in with a plan of what they were going to say and then just like shit the bed. And then you realize like halfway through what you're saying that it's ridiculous, and you're like, and you just kind of like try to like Irish exit out of the scene. But the scene where they go to see the Clash of Demon Head is the editing of it, like where it just keeps doing the split screens and you keep seeing like them looking from the audience, the band playing, and it's like set. It's edited perfectly to the music. When Scott realizes that the bass player, who is his ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend, was also Ramona's ex-boyfriend. Like, it's like just the way, like without them really saying a word and just the music playing, you can tell everything that everyone's thinking in that scene, and like how like they're all learning like what the situation is. So like that scene, just the way that scene's edited is just it's so
amazing.
Yeah,
and the song and the song is great. So it's like
it's amazing. Like that's the type of stuff that you take a good director and then you have a scene like that, and that's where like a guy like Edgar Wright and a lot of people like him that are great directors really excel, and that's one of those scenes that that it shows you something like very different. You're like, wow, this is so fucking cool right now.
I mean, his strong suit has always been like he does these like transitions, even from like one scene to the next, like the editing, like the way that he transitions things are amazing. And I mean, in Scott Pilgrim, it's he throws everything at the like there's graphics on the screen, and there's a narrator who like there's words, stuff just shows up on the screen. Throughout the movie, there's X's all the time in different scenes. There's like the different ex-boyfriends and the one girlfriend, like where at different points you see numbers that denote which one they are out of the seven. It's like it's
great. Yeah.
There's so much in there. Like you can watch it forever.
You could watch it 3 or 4 times and pick up something different. So like everything about it is just I love them. And I mean the cast is like, it's one of the most stacked casts. I mean, then they were all less known, but like going back and looking, like like Chris Evans, like in a small role, Brie Larson, who has an Oscar now, in playing Envy, like Aubrey Plaza's in it, Brandon Routh, who played Superman. I'm terrible at superhero movies. Me too.
But like he's in it. Jason Schwartzman,
yeah.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and my personal, Kieran Culkin, shout out, one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
So
give me your favorite character.
My favorite character is actually the character that Kieran Culkin played, which is when Kieran Culkin became my favorite actor. Was probably watching this movie was Wallace Wells, who's Scott's roommate, who's also my favorite character from the books. Like he's just like Scott's sort of flighty and all over the place, and Wallace is more grounded, but he's also kind of like a really sarcastic asshole. And another, great scene is when he's heckling the band from the balcony at the Battle of the Bands, and they're like, "We hate you and we hope you die," or whatever. He's like, it's great. I love this one, and he's just like just heckling them the whole time, and it's just like such a great scene. But yeah, he's like almost like the Jiminy Cricket, I guess, like where he's like sort of some sort of conscience to Scott, who's just sort of going through and not realizing like kind of all the people he's fucking up along the way.
Very cool. So then number 3 brings us to your least favorite character of Scott Pilgrim.
My least favorite character is Todd, the bass player for the Clash at Demon Head. And the only reason is because that whole, that character is completely, I guess really, so the drummer for the Clash at Demon Head, who doesn't say a word in the movie, her name is Lynette in the comic book. It's the combination of those two, because they combine those two into one character in the movie. And it's, I wish that they got more into the drummer character, because like there's a whole thing, like if you look closely, she has a bionic arm, like you see it in the background. They never mention it in the movie, but there's a whole thing in the comic book where, she has a bionic arm, and like when Knives gets punched in the face and they knock the color out of her hair, she actually hits her, which is slightly less jarring than him hitting her. She gets hit with the bionic hand, which is why she loses. But I also he's like not, I have a lot of friends who are vegans, so I don't say all vegan, but he's so obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I don't know, gives vegans a bad name.
For sure.
I'm not, I eat everything, but it's just sort of like, it's just such a dick. Again, a necessary character, but that's the one part where I thought, like in the comic book, like they could have like made that scene just a little bit more.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the only reason. It's just a perfect movie. Well,
it is.
There's no bad characters.
Because I was going to say that brings me to the fourth question. The movie's so perfect, and I know it's one of your favorites. Can you even think of a scene that you would take out of it?
I can, because there's a cop-out answer to this that I can. There's an original ending, which I don't know if you've ever seen.
I've never seen.
So I have I have multiple DVDs and Blu-rays of this movie, including they did one that was like a steel book, because God knows you need those.
Does that one have
with,
penetration?
Like the comic book art on the cover. So I got that, and as one of the extras, it has what they call the alternate ending. But if you read about it, it's actually the original ending that they tested it, and people, I guess, didn't like it.
Okay.
It's probably the more fitting ending to the movie, and the nicer ending. However, fuck it, the movie's 10 years old.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, where he ends up with Ramona, which is like the nice ending, and they go off into the distance, and you see the countdown. The alternate ending is Ramona just leaves, and he stays with Knives. And Knives is a perfectly nice character, and a perfectly, she doesn't do anything wrong throughout the whole movie. And for some reason, when I saw this fucking alternate ending, I was so annoyed by it. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, why? I wish I didn't watch it. It bothered me so much, because I love the movie so much, that it was just like, it irritates me so much. I was going to watch it earlier just before this, and I was like, nah, I can't watch it again.
It just bothers you.
And it's like a completely reasonable ending to the movie, and it's probably the nicer ending to the movie, but it's just like, obviously it's not just me, because they tested it and nobody liked it.
Well,
enough that they changed it.
Here I am thinking you wouldn't have an answer to that, but I didn't know that there was an alternate ending.
And the other thing is they had only written 4 of the 6 Scott Pilgrim books when the movie was being made. So the last 2 were written. Brian Lee O'Malley, who wrote the books, wrote the script with Edgar Wright, and they worked on the movie together. So they stay similar, but from that point on, it gets very different. Like if you read the books, because he wasn't really tied to anything. The movie already existed, so he could sort of, he wasn't trying to match the ending, it seemed. So,
all right. Well,
yeah. So, it's the ending that most people have never seen that I mean, it's maybe one of my least favorite scenes in any movie I've ever seen because it bothered me so much when I saw it. So I was like, oh, it's really.
Let's do this. Let's do this last one here to wrap up. If you were in Scott Pilgrim, what character would you be?
The character that I would most likely I think the character that Aubrey Plaza plays, Julie, who just seems annoyed by everybody all the time. Because I can get I love whenever she curses, they like jumble her mouth and they make it like just they distort it so you can't hear what she's saying.
Yeah.
But that character, I just think that again, that character, there's a lot more of that character in the books, but she's just a great character and just seems perpetually annoyed by everybody, which is, sometimes I can very much relate to that. Sometimes, people can be real annoying.
Very, very fantastic. Man. All right. So we just went through the Edgar Wright 5 movies. I know you're a big fan, so I know people get a lot of fun and insight from this. I know it's making me want to rewatch some of them. And
hopefully in September we can go see his new movie.
I know. I'm hoping, every ticket that actually I only had the Waves ticket and Group Love, so I didn't really miss out.
I had Against Me, Less Than Jake. Supposed to go down to Asbury Park with Hugo and company.
Yes.
I mean, there's a few, I guess, coming up. I want to go see Therapy in Belfast in October, so hopefully that's still happening.
How's Ireland doing with the quarantine?
I mean, a lot of Ireland's isolated by just being kind of rural, so they're, I guess, slightly better off. But I mean, like everywhere else, I guess they're getting their asses kicked. Another thing that Edgar Wright, by the way, he has a documentary that he's been working on for a couple of years now about the band Sparks.
Wow. Okay.
That will come out at some point, which is it's funny because I love Sparks, and Sparks is like a love-hate proposition. Like people either love them or hate them. And I'm like that seems like something that was made sort of just for me, where I'm just like, wow, he's making a director that I love making a movie about a band that I love that nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going to go see a documentary about Sparks. Nobody's paying money to go see a documentary about Sparks. But hey,
maybe next he'll do one on Idlewild.
Why not? He'll do the Playing Dead documentary in 15 years. So.
Yes, definitely. But cool, man. So this went a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, so that's good because we have a lot of content. I mean, it just, this could be almost like its own episode, the Edgar Wright jump. But we're almost at an hour, so that's good. And Thom, thank you for sitting at home and talking to me. And I forgot this.
Yes. Now I can. Once I hang up, I'm just going to sit at home and watch some other movie. So
I'm going to go have dinner and. Cool, man. I'm going to try to get to all this by tomorrow and put it up.
Yes. And hopefully we can, we'll hang out at some point soon. We'll do something.
We'll hang out. I'll see you in December. All right.
Once we're allowed out of the house. Yes.
All right. Cool.
Tell Karen I said hi.
I will.
All right. And yes, we have to do the ultimate sing throwdown after,
The ultimate sing, yes. It's the ultimate sing. All right, cool. All right, I'll talk to you.
All right. Bye.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Red River, George. If I rule the world.
Hey. Sam.
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. What's going on? Just sitting in Vegas.
Yeah, man. So I don't know how you've been feeling during this lockdown, but I'm just not feeling super creative. I'm not feeling like I wanted to do a podcast. I'm not feeling like playing guitar, writing songs. I feel like I just want the world to restart again so I could feel, I don't know, I'm just not feeling creative. So I kind of force myself to do stuff like this, to I guess regain some normalcy. So I figured, let me reach out to 4 people, obviously 2 of them that do the show. And then two other people, and I'm like, let's just check in. Let's just have a fucking a podcast check in on some people from across, the island or the globe, and see what the deal is.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely a weird time, and in some ways, like obviously you and I were doing the podcast together, and you gracefully said you can do the podcast here, so I would have something to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a few things I got to buy to be able to record, which I can do at any point. But it has been a little bit of a block. Like, hey, do I want to do this? Maybe I should wait. There's always tomorrow. And I think you're right. I think, you got to kind of just step into it and do something and get back on board.
It really was. And it's always this fucking, UK Davey being so instrumental. He like messages me.
Yeah.
He messages me and he's just like, he's like, you guys got to do another show, man. He's like, this coronavirus can't take out Red River. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to do one tomorrow. And at that moment, I kind of just came up with the idea of doing like the 4 separate ones. Like 15-minute pieces stuck together. And it was just because if you didn't just jump into it, like you said, it's like, oh, all right, I'll do it Monday and then Thursday and then Saturday. And it's just like,
right. Which was part of the reason as to why I got you involved in the podcast with me, because I was like, there's always tomorrow. And I needed a partner. And, that's kind of how that started. But when you say Davey Bright, it just put him in a category of like the guy who just always wants other people to do well.
Yes.
And he's so interested in everyone else's projects. He's like Chris Enriquez.
Yeah.
And you're like that too, actually. You're very like motivational. I don't know if that's not the right word because that sounds like Tony Robbins, but you're very like, so what's going on with your thing? And you really kind of want to know, like in an honest way, like what people are doing, how their project is going.
I like when people, I like being involved. Like if you're telling me you're making a movie, I want to talk to you. I want to help you. If you're telling me you're trying to put together a band and you need a bass player, I want to help you. And it's just because I don't know. I like stuff like that. So if someone's being creative in any way and they need help, like I just feel like even if I could connect them with someone, I like it. I like being able to, if someone's missing a piece, if I could help them get to that next level, like I love doing that.
Yeah, you're a connector, and like Davey, like Chris Enrique is very much a connector too. Not so much me, or
Well, maybe now.
But I'm always rooting for you, for people. But I'm not the guy you call when you need a bass player. That's for sure.
Let me call George up. I need a bass player.
I think George would want to play bass.
Well, as soon as that next Mind Over Matter reunion happens, that's when they're gonna call you.
Yeah. We'll see.
But yeah, man, you definitely did the biggest Irish goodbye on St. Patrick's Day, which was like
I did.
And you made it out of New York before everything got really locked down. Even the house selling, like that's like seriously, like it was almost like if you decided mentally that you were going to sell a house a week after you first thought of it, like you probably would have been stuck somewhere in Selden.
It's true. I was just talking about this with my parents today. Like if if people understand, like when you sell a house in New York, it's not like other states. It actually takes a lot of time. It takes longer than normal. But I decided like mid-December, like I think I really want to do this, and put the house up for sale on January 2nd. And it kind of went so quick, everything went very smoothly. and I closed on March 12th. And but there was just a lot to do in between, a lot of things to do, and part of it was like I have a lot to do, but it's almost like when someone's pregnant and they don't want to say they're pregnant till a certain month.
Yeah.
So I had this thing about moving that I really didn't want to say what I was doing to everyone until I knew that I was definitely going to do it. But I still felt like up until the last minute, like this probably isn't going to happen.
I could attest. I could definitely say the same, because like even when you told me and I knew it was happening, but I didn't say anything to anyone. Like even like the last couple of days, like once you were like, oh yeah, I'm leaving this date, I was like, whoa. I'm like, and that was like a few days before. I'm like, I guess he's leaving.
And I'm like, well, it'll probably take like 6 months to do this. Sell a house and all that. Just thinking rationally. So, it went quick. And the thing is like, you can't really, once you start getting a real estate agent and you start moving along and there's buyers and different things, you can't be like, oh, wait, slow down. You just have to keep doing it. So that's what happened. And it went really quick. And, it came up and it's what I wanted. Of course, there's a certain amount of people that I love back home and that I miss. And, I feel awful almost in a way being here and they're there and everything that's going on. But as far as it literally I always think of the Indiana Jones where he's like jumping, there's like a door closed and he like, slips out underneath and he sticks his hand back in and grabs the hat and pulls the hat in. That's what it felt like. And then I was like on a plane on St. Patrick's Day with 20 other people, like everyone canceled their flights and it was just crazy. It was like.
And what did anyone have masks on by then?
Yes. Even though it wasn't, every day has gotten crazier and crazier, it wasn't the best flight I've ever taken in my life. I had like my own personal stewardess. I mean, they were literally like, there's no one on the plane. You can sit wherever you want. So everyone obviously was like social distancing. Yeah. And even the airport itself, there wasn't many people in there. Everything was closed and people were cleaning like I've never seen before. So in a weird way, I was like, it's actually a little safer here than going to 7-Eleven or something.
Yeah. Which it's I live with someone who's very precautious, so she if it was up to me, I probably would have gotten it by now. I probably would have been dead 2 weeks ago if I was living by myself. But
I think you and I are similarly skeptical.
Yeah.
And I think, how can you not be? There was so much, there was SARS and there was these different things. I think just a natural reaction is to be somewhat skeptical of what's going on. And, I'm still a little skeptical in a way, because things just change all the time. But, you could be skeptical and be compliant.
Yeah.
You could be, yeah,
you could do that. And you could be, you know what it is? Like, I don't mind taking precautions. I just want them to be rational. I don't want them to be just to make your mind feel better, and that's a lot of the arguments that we have here are, it's like, I want to do stuff that makes sense. I don't want to do stuff because you're superstitious, like.
Yeah. And I think, the thing is that, you could be, a lot of the conversations I've had are people like, how can you even worry about the economy? How can you even worry about jobs because people are getting sick? I'm like, you can worry about both.
Fuck yeah.
You can worry about government overreach and also be as compliant as they want you to be, because I don't know what the answer is. You know what I mean? Like, you can hold thoughts in your head at the same time and be a little skeptical, but be like, okay, I'm going to wear a mask and wear gloves. I do it everywhere I go here, just because I don't know any different, but doesn't mean you can't be a little skeptical. That's okay too.
Yeah. You also, just in case, I mean, really what shook it to me was, the dude from Fountains of Wayne. I'm like, that fucking dude died.
Oh my God.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm learning, that thing you do on the guitar like 2 weeks before that news. And I was just like, this motherfucker died. I'm like, Adam Schlesinger died. I'm like, that's like, I guess it kind of just like brought it down to me. And then, like, we know people now that have had it and all this other shit. And
sure.
But whatever, man. What are you gonna do? I feel like the dude on Rogan, I remember a long time ago, probably like in February, when he had the guy on, he was saying that it's if you have a fucked up immune system, or if you're overweight, if you have something wrong, like it's gonna attack you worse. And that's kind of like what got that thought in my head. And who knows? It just seems like such a lottery, like it affects everyone so different, and some people get it and some people don't. Some people are asymptomatic, and it's just I don't know, man.
Yeah. And I think, it's going to be something where, even like when there was the AIDS epidemic, if you read about it now as opposed to what was coming out about it and what had happened in those years in the 80s, everybody in the 90s, everybody was scared. Different information now than there was back then. It's only natural. There's a panic, there's misinformation, you mix in media and politics. It's a conglomerate of just a swirling mess of things going on. So that's what's going to happen with this too. Once things pass, maybe it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years to find out exactly what the numbers were. People who had passed, who had compromised immune systems, or maybe they were in hospitals and passed of something else, their numbers got counted in a different way, or, a near miss, it could be bigger in certain areas than we even know. So I just think it's the nature of it. In the future, we'll know,
we will.
With a calmer head, they can find out.
Calmer, for sure. Because I don't know shit. And I'm sure even like the people, the thing with misinformation these days is it's back then it was way harder to spread. Now it's just like, did you see that YouTube link, bro? It's fucking like, you're like, you start like dealing with those people and you're like, oh boy, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, as skeptical as I am of the government, I can't jump onto like, oh, the government did this or China did this, but and on the other side, I don't jump onto like everybody's going to die either, so you just got to kind of, at some point, you deal with the best information you have, you take precautions, you try and keep a rational, reasonable head about yourself. And at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own body, so you're taking risks. You got to deal with it. That's how that goes.
I just miss band practice. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, and if it wasn't for like, if we were all 4 single guys, I think we would play. We would just take the chance to be like, okay, none of us have it. But when it comes to, Rich's fiance and Dave having a wife and a daughter and me having Karen here, Steve's the only one.
Exactly.
Steve's the only one that's just like, he's like, why aren't we playing again? And I'm just like, I completely respect your hustle, but it's just because if I come back with something unknowingly, I'll never hear the end of it.
That's the strange thing about it, because it puts you in a weird headspace because you don't want to be the dick who brought this thing unknowingly. You didn't get it, but you passed it along to someone who doesn't deserve it. So it's such a weird psychological thing when you're like, I'm just running to the store right now, but I don't want to, then bring it to my parents.
Yeah.
I have all the faith in the world that I would be fine. And wrong or right, it might be the wrongest perception to have, but I'd deal with it. But then you're like, I don't want to be bringing it around other people. And that's,
Yeah, I'm of that mindset.
Fucked up.
Same thing. Like, we're like, if I get it, it's like, okay, I'll just deal with it and it's going to suck.
Right.
But I just don't want to give it to someone else. So, what's Vegas like?
It's, the weather's beautiful, man. It's like,
you showing off them white legs?
Yeah. Well, it's like hoodie weather. It's just how I love it. It's actually been raining here, which isn't common, so I figured that's my fault.
Yeah. Probably.
But super bright and sunny. It's a little weird because I can't do the things that I planned on doing, seeing the things that I planned on seeing. Obviously, there's like even work and stuff like that is like everything's just halted, but me personally, like I was sending pictures to you, I'm a jeweler, so I have 2 shops worth of equipment that I shipped here, And right away, I put an ad out on Craigslist to rent a garage from somebody. So I could set up there. So I got a really, really cheap spot. It's secluded. There's nobody there. Even the woman who owns it, I don't even see her. Super cheap. So I set it all up. So in this time that there's all downtime and I can't really like work, I can make all the stuff that I was making before I left. So for me personally, it's actually been, pretty productive as far as that.
Yeah, definitely. It's you were working in solitude in your basement. Now you get to do it, in Vegas.
In a garage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least you get to do something, and I thrive on schedules, man, and that's once you take that schedule away from me, I'm just like, I don't know, I lose motivation. I need to have just enough time to be late for something. Like that's just like how I roll. Like I need to be 5 minutes late to everything and just make it and have like 8 things to do in a week that I could barely
I don't think of you as like a late person type of guy. Like
no,
but
I mean, like, yeah, I'm saying like, it just like I need that fast paced schedule where I feel like I'm juggling shit, and by the time Saturday night comes, I just fall asleep and I'm like, okay, gotta do it again.
Yeah, I think you and I have like differing things because I can't do like 2 bands. I had 2 bands overlap once and I was like, this blows. And like I can do the podcast with you and that's pretty much it. And then the rest is like work and regular life. But you're happier when you are juggling a lot of projects.
Well, yeah, it's creative stuff, the podcast.
Yeah.
Just anything to do with anything. Yeah, I like it because it just, I don't know. At a certain point, like you figure this. You spent your whole life in bands, though.
Yeah.
For me, like it wasn't really a thing until one day at like the age of 24. I was like, I think I'm going to be in a band. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like it wasn't until like the age of 27 where I was like, oh, okay, I'm playing in a band and we're going to make a record. So it was just like, I was so far the age of everyone that I feel like I'm still young and I still want to do a bunch of shit because I don't know. I just didn't, like, I was doing different shit at that age. And one day I just had the courage to be like, I want to play with a drummer.
Right.
Now I just want to get it. I just want to keep going and, making shit because I feel like I lost so much time. And the beauty about, guitar and vocals is, whether it's with the band, which I prefer, or by myself, like I could write a song and I could just play it by myself, that's the beauty of not being only the drummer, only the bass player, only the singer. It's like I have the songwriting tool and then I could do the vocals. That helps.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think it's all like how the mindset and the way you see it, like the way you just explained that about, well, it's guitar and vocals and it's just like this. Me, like my whole life of doing songs and being a singer, playing live or being in a studio or anything to do with being in a band, I always think of as difficult and like laborious to this day. Like if there was a show on Friday, I would think about it all fucking week and somewhat prepare, whether it was eating correctly or like, breathing exercise, whatever it was, like, and I just think that's, it's like, if it's just how your brain is wired, right? Like I got to put all my concentration into this one thing to get it as good as it can be. And that's my brain, and that's it's just probably not true because after so many years, you know what you're doing. You don't need all this extra effort, but I still kept it as like a thing that needs a lot of focus and attention.
Do you think
in a way that probably is what burned me out?
Well, do you think it's because people expect like a high quality from you? Because like for me, like, we never had a fan base. No one was ever waiting for our record. We never had like hundreds of people at our shows. No one was waiting for our reunion. So like in a way, like you have the pressure of being like George from Mind Over Matter or George from Day in the Life.
I don't think it's like that. I mean, I'm sure it's as usual. It's more than one thing. You probably do want to make sure you're doing something good for people who like the thing you did before. But it's also like, I think because in the beginning I had zero idea of what I was doing. I had no business singing or playing in a band, and playing with, Artie Shepherd and people and Eddie Reyes and Scott and John, the people who were talented.
Yeah.
I always had to work a lot harder. And I think I just kept up that mindset of like working at it. And which is good, but I think if some of the views I've always had about it was that, it could never be super fun being in a band. Like, it was serious business. You know what I mean? And I had fun. Believe me.
I get
you
it.
know that. But it was just the way it was, and then even towards the end, it's like shows got canceled. I'd be like, awesome, and it never felt like that. But it was starting to like tip to the other side where the pressure of it can be a motivator. And then at some point when the pressure of it that you put on yourself becomes unfun, and then you just don't really, you're just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
That's why like the podcast is like the same thing. It's like, I take it really seriously. And I was like, well, I want to do it like this. And you and I would put together notes and have lots of stuff printed, but it's like the motivating, like, okay, well, we want to be, is hit the ground running and be as good as we can be. It's still a motivating factor.
You don't want to suck at it, because there's people, people do, I've heard podcasts where they don't care. Same thing with a band. Like when we play a terrible set, it crushes me. I question why I'm even playing. But some people play a terrible set and they're just like, fuck it, it was fun. I wish I was like that,
Yeah, I mean, it's like, sometimes I have the ability to just let it roll off my back, be like, yeah, whatever, you win some, you lose some. But deep down, I would be bummed. I wouldn't take it out. I wouldn't show, show it in front of the band necessarily. I'd be like, yo, this sucks. Why are we doing this? Just fuck this place. It wasn't like that ever. But inside, you get that, like,
for sure.
You're not throwing a whiskey bottle at your drummer, like, you didn't hit it.
Oh, no.
no.
It's
not like
head,
that at all.
No, in my head, because I'm thinking like, wait, this is the only thing that I'm good at. And when I'm not good at it, it affects me internally. But yeah, like I would never throw a whiskey bottle.
Yeah, it's funny. My niece is 17, and she's more talented in her pinky finger than you and I times 10 of our friends have ever been.
Nice.
It's like that. It's just,
I believe
people just born with a good voice, and you're like, okay, where did that come from? And she's trying to learn how to record and edit and all that stuff, and it's frustrating. And I talked to her back and forth a little bit about it, and it's like she just kind of wants to like know how to do it and not learn how to do it. And it's at 17, everybody's like that no matter what.
Yep.
But we're having these conversations like we're talking, like art is just frustrating. It just is. There's no way around it. Like, to get what's in your mind or in your heart out onto a piece of paper or recorded or to match, or to do what somebody wants you to do, it's a difficult thing. And I was trying to talk to her about, like, it just is, and you got to get over that hump. Because if you don't get over that hump, you can't, because you don't want to have people rushing in to fix it. And that's what was happening. It was like other people were like fixing it for her. And I was kind of like, well, if that happens, then it's never going to get easier. But if you learn how to do it, then it's yours forever.
Yeah.
Then you own it, then you can really be happy with something. You can really be proud of something. And, it's just that thing, that frustration of art. It's a difficult thing to just have in you, and I don't think everybody has it. Not everybody has that artistic thing that they have to get out there, when you do, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it could be the best thing in the world, and then it could be the worst thing. It's just that's it. Like, when it's high, it's high, and when it's low, it's like, oh.
Yeah, it can be, it can really be the motivating factor of your life. It can be the thing that, the glue that keeps it all together or keeps you sane. But it, time and time again, it proves to be frustrating. But, it's like the dichotomy of an artist. You go back for more. You just keep going back.
That's it. I tell people, because they're like, oh, about us making a lot of records, and I'm like, man, because the goal is to just look at what you did and just like internally want to just crush the last record that you put out, That's it. You're like, okay, that was cool, but I need to fucking, kill it. And, time will tell, when you look back at your shit, you're just like, okay, maybe this wasn't as good as that, and that wasn't as good as this. But at the time, that's how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to be like, okay, these songs are going to crush this, and that's it, and as long as you feel that way when you're doing it, then it just doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I asked you, to let's do a little top 5 for us, just to check in with you. Now that we're all checked in, I asked you to give me 5 albums that you love of the, being that you are known for being in hardcore bands. I asked you to pick something outside of that genre. So top 5 non-hardcore albums that you love.
All right.
Number 5.
So do I list all 5? Or
just number 5.
One?
Yeah, go number 5, and then just give me a little something on it.
All right. Well, these are, everyone's going to say the same thing. It was difficult to pick 5, and these are not in order. Am I right?
Sure.
Everyone probably says that shit to you. Yeah. So, we'll start with Public Image Limited, Happy.
Okay.
1987. Yeah, I mean, that record, it reminds me, like, at the time I was, just like skateboarding a lot, like just really getting into skateboarding, probably just started to hear a little bit of punk and hardcore. But, the record itself, it has a big 80s sound. There's no way around it. It's got those big reverby drums and stuff like that. But it's Johnny Rotten. Just in there, you hear that anger. You hear his like particular singing style. And, he's the guy that, I've always tried to do that thing where you do a lot with very little. He doesn't sound like he was a born singer either, so you kind of take what you do and you kind of like, lay it on top of a song where you try and hope you fit or, sound like you might fit. And, the thing about this album too is that he, the name of the album is Happy, but the song Happy is on the next album.
Oh, that's funny.
It's not actually on this album. Yeah. And we did that too in Mind Over Matter. There was the 7-inch was called Hectic Thinking. I stole that from Johnny Rotten. It was called Hectic Thinking, but the song Hectic Thinking was on the next record. And, I just, over the years, just stole little things from his singing style and just the way he approaches vocals to me was very influential.
Do you think that he, I was going to say, do you think he won the argument with Marky Ramone or not?
No.
I didn't think so either.
I don't. I think he's got many, many brilliant moments, but there's a lot more just like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those too, because he works very high and low. He goes for it when he's talking, singing, performing, or whatever. Sometimes he falls flat on his face, but I can appreciate that
for sure.
Him,
Cool. Next album.
But next one is Jane's Addiction. The first one, XXX.
Okay.
So it's that their records. I could probably pick any one of them. It's like sometimes if I'm listening to a Bad Brains record, I feel like I'll just listen to Eye Against Eye for like a month, and then you're like, oh, you really like Quickness for a month. So it's like that with Jane's Addiction. But the first one I picked because the time that they put it out, I mean, there's just a million reasons that this record has no business being as awesome as it is.
It's pretty fucking awesome.
It's a risk. They made it live, which it really wasn't live. They kind of like, I guess, probably recorded live and then went into the studio and overdubbed in all the, cheers and all that stuff. And, there's harmonies on it. There's nobody in the band doing backup harmonies. But just the whole vibe of it, the way it starts with Trip Away and ends with Chip Away. And the 2 cover songs that they did on there, they really just put in this fierceness in there that you can hear from beginning to end. But when it gets sweet and soft, it's beautiful, but it still has this live feel. And it almost, because it's live, it almost skips the whole 80s sound. that Nothing Shocking had. Nothing Shocking has like the big reverb sound
Had
that I was talking
reverb,
about.
yeah.
PIL, and it almost takes away a little bit. So this has that. The thing, Jane's is one of those bands, like everybody always said, you got to see them live.
And you saw them, because I saw you and Derek talking about a show that you guys went to go see.
Yeah, me and Derek Sessions, we always talked about seeing Jane's Addiction at the Ritz.
Okay.
In I guess it was when Ritual came out.
Okay.
It was before Lollapalooza, but it was on that tour. And it was one of those moments, where I'd seen many hardcore bands where the singer was just like you, So yeah. I had that a lot of people probably hadn't seen. But when I saw Perry Farrell, he was just like you, but nothing like you. He spoke right to the audience, even though that was a bigger audience than I was generally used to, besides because usually smaller hardcore shows. So I always thought of big shows like that. And I probably thought, I just kind of went there on a whim. I really didn't know them that much. Because like this record came out in 87, but I didn't hear it till after Ritual, So, yeah, it was like one of those game changers, because he was a band that I saw them so like being able to kick ass, but also be very, they always say like between masculine and feminine, that vibe,
sure.
Where they just seemed like guys that would throw down and fight, but also were able to make beautiful music. And it's not an easy combination to do successfully. A lot of bands try, but it doesn't always work. Perry Farrell's not a good looking dude. He wasn't like,
didn't stop him.
Rocks. Yeah. So there was a lot to it in that show. And then hearing this record and having seen the show was incredible. Even like the songs like, 1%, he's talking about like 1% bikers, not like the 1% like everybody talks about now.
I think his dad was.
His brother. His dad was a jeweler.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Then his brother was. That's right. What podcast was that? Oh, it was Mark Maron, wasn't it?
Mark Maron.
Yeah. He had some fucking good stories, man.
Yeah. Yeah, his dad worked on 47th Street. Was right. Okay. There was a lot of things that I'd learned over the years that were intriguing to me about all of Jane's Addiction, and Perry Farrell, and how creative he was, how much of an asshole he was, dealing with the music business. There was a lot to it, and then just being able to create that type of music. And someone had said, it was one of the guys at Fishbone, but he said like they started that whole modern primitive idea. And I was like, oh, that's kind of true. It was like dreadlocks, pierced nose, yes. Primitive but modern sounding music. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what it was. There's something tribal in it that you heard in the drumming.
Oh, totally. And the drums.
Yeah, but a modern feel, so.
Yeah, those three records are as good as anything. If you're going to come out the gate with those three, like it just makes sense why they went away after Ritual. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it was just like this thing that just exploded with 3 albums, and then that's it, So
and I haven't like fell in love with anything after that, but
no, but that's man. If that's your legacy, that's a great legacy.
That's fine. Yeah.
So 3.
All right. Siamese Dream.
Wow, good one.
Yeah. I mean, that was another one that I heard Gish after Siamese Dream. I probably heard Gish, but didn't pay attention to it until after that. And that was, this is one of the records that I heard being in a van, in a hardcore band, traveling around with guys like Artie Shepherd and Scott Martin, and they would put that stuff on that I probably wouldn't have ever heard. And you're subject to it because you're sitting there, and then being able to, get why these are incredible songs, and why, how, there's the obvious, like the lushness of it and the way that their sound is. And I don't know how they sound like they're recorded in heaven. It's like
man.
Big, borrowed, a studio from heaven.
It's those 100 guitar tracks.
Yeah. And how do you do that? Especially once you start getting into studios and you're like, how do they do that? I mean, they spent $1 million, but, there's like an art vibe to it. There's like a self-indulgent vibe to that record where they just jammed at points, but there was always a hook.
Always
there
a
was
hook.
always some chorus to come back to, even like the end of the record with Silver Fuck.
Okay, Silver.
No, yeah, I guess it's one of the last songs.
Okay,
Silver
yeah, Silver
Fuck.
Fuck. Yeah, Silver Fuck's in the middle. Yeah, where they just, man, because those guys, especially Billy, actually more so Billy, like he was a shredder. Like when he wanted to,
oh yeah,
he would fucking shred like completely.
He had to have loved metal. Like we know that now.
Yeah.
After seeing interviews with him, but even hearing it back then, you're like, these guys got to be a metalhead.
Yeah.
To do that and to just always come back to, like, because I've heard all sorts of artistic records where I'm just like, okay, you lost me. We're 10 minutes into this thing and I don't know where we are. But he had that ability to write a chorus or a hook. The whole like in Silver Fuck, it's bang bang you're dead,
yeah,
hole in your head, like all these risks that are incredible. The way they just pull you back in.
That record for me was huge, and so you figure that was like 93. I was about 15, and that's when I really started playing guitar, and it just spoke to me because what I liked back then were I loved heavy guitars. The heavier the better, but I loved melody. And that band gave me those two. That's why I gravitated towards that really alt rock sound, because Pumpkins had fucking thick guitars, but their melodies and harmonies were like fucking sugar. And to me, I was like, wow, this is so good.
It seemed like he pulled away from that in the next couple records where he didn't overproduce his vocals. And it's like, say what you will, but it worked. Overproducing his vocals on Siamese Dream just fucking worked.
Yeah. I mean, just like anything, like eventually people just make records and it's just, the documentation of Lightning in a Bottle is great. Look at Appetite for Destruction. They made, Guns N' Roses make that one record in 87 and somehow that they still sell out stadiums, 30 plus years later on that one record.
Yeah. I remember Artie Shepherd said to me that Mayonnaise is like Stairway to Heaven.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, and I didn't understand what he meant. Like when he first said it to me, I was like, no, it's not, because I was doing all the parallels. I'm like, what? Everybody wants to play it. Everybody wants it. Like, what do you mean? Like, but it is true. Like over time, it just gave me that vibe. Like when it came on, like the way it began, like the song, the lyrics, like everything to it, I was like, I get what he means. It's almost like difficult to describe, but it is like that, and it's just epic.
And we got to play that. So our friend Michelle and her husband Dirk, they were getting married, and they wanted us to play some. They got a whole bunch of bands to play their wedding, and their wedding song was Mayonnaise, and we got to play it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, man, we were just like, "Fuck, we're gonna get to play Mayonnaise." So cool.
Awesome.
Number 2.
Number 4.
Oh,
we going? Oh yeah. I get it. I'm new at this podcast game. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah.
Public Enemy, Fear of a Black Planet.
Nice. 30 years old.
Yeah, I was going back and forth between Nation of Millions. I think I actually was thinking that first. Nation of Millions, of course. It's like, it really just jumped up from Yo Bum the Rush the Show to Nation of Millions. Just
so
incredible.
Much so.
Yeah. And She Watched Channel Zero, Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos. But I was kind of like, I moved more to Fear of a Black Planet because of the way it opens up. I mean, the first, they have the instrumental and right into Brother's Gonna Work It Out.
Yeah.
And Welcome to the Terror Dome is just, I mean, there's not even a chorus. It's just Chuck going crazy.
It's man, you put that on, it's fucking hectic. Like that's a hectic fucking record. Like that's just an assault. And what did he say on Quali's podcast? He's like, if my girlfriend hated what we wrote, he's like, yes, we're doing something good or something, like whatever he said.
Dude, that's hip hop guys don't say that.
Yeah.
That's punk and hardcore. I love it. I mean,
Ron Grimaldi would say that.
Yeah. Like there shouldn't be chicks at our show. Like that's what you would think, like when you were young and in a hardcore band. Like, and the thing about it is when there's something that's like hectic or frustrating in a song that's like manic or whatever, producer wants to take it out. Hip hop artists always want to take it out. They don't run with it. And the Bomb Squad and Chuck D ran with it.
Yeah.
You know, that's not something that happens in hip hop. And you just hear all the music that they were putting together, and it was risky to do something like that. And Chuck doesn't, like, if you have loud, crazy music that we're used to, in order to be more intense, usually the singer's got to be scream or yell, be louder, and just convey that, like, what he's trying to convey. Chuck doesn't get loud. It gets a little loud, but he doesn't yell. He doesn't scream. He's not like Zach De La Rocha. And yet it comes across. It almost feels like his voice shouldn't match PE as well as it does, and it does. And
it's just chaos. It's just, I love it. I love that chaos. Production. And it's almost like if you listen to like Dillinger Escape Plan, like the shit that goes on behind, you know, the singer. It's just like every little noise that most people will be like, yeah, that's just too weird and too dissonant. And, you know, the Bomb Squad were like, yep. They're like, we're going to throw an alarm clock in here. We're going to throw a drill in here. We're going to throw a fucking plate down the stairs.
And then it ends on Fight the Power. Yes. So how can you go wrong? That's, you know, anthem. And it's still some of the best hip hop lyrics ever. And it fits so well and Do the Right Thing.
Well,
you know, it's just incredible.
Rich Jacobina commented when I posted Black Steel, and he was like, that's the best opening line to any hip hop song. You know, it's like where I got a letter from the government that said there was something. Yeah. And we were all like, you know what? You're right. Completely. You know? Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like the hardest fucking first line of any song. Cool, man.
But so the lyrics in there that Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to, I mean, that is like, it just pops right in the middle of the song. And it's like, whoa, you know, when that came out, it was like.
You want to, want to bring it back to punk. It's just, give me a punk line that hits that hard. Like, you could find some, but it's going to be equal. Because that's like, that's a line that Jello Biafra would be like, yep, that's pretty good.
And every part of their team or their record label must have been like,
you can't say that.
I don't know about that. You know what's cool? You know how he goes, mother, fuck him and John Wayne, and it's mother, and they have the sensor noise, the beep. That's actually how it is. It's like, it's such a small detail, but that's how it is on the record.
Never noticed.
It wasn't censored for radio. It was like they did it that way, and it's almost like it's just awesome. Like, you know, to think that way and just put it on there, it almost like makes it pop a little bit more. Yeah.
Very cool. So last
glad
record.
They made up.
Yeah. Well, it's a publicity stunt.
Yeah. That's the dumbest shit I ever
Yo,
heard.
Listen.
You and I discussed this already.
We discussed it, and like I said, I imagine Flava fucks up the money so much that Chuck is probably like, I don't know what to do with this fucking guy, you know, like for 30 years. So whichever excuse he wants to give me, I'll be like, you know what? That's fine. I'll wink and just, you know, turn the cheek.
No, I don't blame him. They could fire or break up the band and do whatever they want, but his excuse, how it was all a joke, it was just wholly unsatisfying. I was like, dude, you can't, like, it was like, you know, hey, to wake you guys up, don't believe everything you hear. I was like, but from you? A little unsatisfying, but you're right. You kind of said it like, hey man, he's done so much stuff I like, I'll give him a pass.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, I can't imagine what it's like to deal with, like, you know, like every day he probably gets an email be like, yo, you know what Flav's doing?
Yeah.
You know, but cool. Last record.
Last one, Faith No More, Angel Dust.
Woo!
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was one of those. It was a kind of a weird time, like 93, I think it must have come out, 94 or something like that. But it was weird.
Yes, 93.
It was weird to hear a band. Was it 92? I thought it'd be 93. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it was weird to hear a band get heavier. You know, they got a little heavier and a little crazier, right? Because Epic was so big, and I almost thought their next record was going to be like lighter, like Extreme or something like that. You know, like they were going to have a ballad and try and do whatever. But it wasn't like that. And to hear Mike Patton, I wasn't like a huge Mr. Bungle fan, and I know where Mike Patton came from. But to hear him get down like that on the record and be so dynamic, like you could hear Lane Staley be dynamic in the way that he is on his record, but it still sounds like in the vein in which he is. But everything from like Midlife Crisis to Caffeine to that song RV, which is like, what is that?
Yeah, like
all
the stuff. I mean, but you want to talk about dropping the right first single. Like when I heard Midlife Crisis, I was like, whoa! I'm like, this is dark.
What is this? Yeah,
moody, huge chorus. I just knew that they entered like the next level. Like they were just so, like, I don't know. They were one of those bands that they were definitely like a Jane's Addiction, where you're like, okay, you're a little bit of everything, but I don't know. Those bands really did change a lot of the landscape. Like it just, you hear no one was doing fucking records like that, man. And
no,
go ahead.
Okay. Well, with every incentive not to do it. I mean, there's got to be pressure. Like, hey, you
do another epic.
Let's hear another epic. Let's hear a ballad. Let's hear whatever. And they're like putting in samples and keyboard sounds, and Mike Patton is screaming his head off. And they're probably struggling to figure out what the single is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's Midlife Crisis. So that's an important part of all of it, is like the risk that you take to do something like that. They weren't loved, when they were opening for Guns N' Roses during that tour.
God, I can't imagine.
Yeah, and I just, when I hear back and I listen to Angel Dust, I hear Korn, I hear all different bands that just took from that took years, for bands to catch on to. It's one of those records that I think it took some of those bigger bands, like I said, like Korn, to catch on to.
Yeah, they
emulate.
They they birthed a lot of styles, because every single band that listened to that record just went back to their own corner. They did their own thing.
Yeah.
And that's another band with a great, the Patton 4 album run there was great. Real Thing.
Yeah.
To that, and when I listened to Album of the Year and King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime, it wasn't until like years after, because I was like, oh, Jim Martin left. I was like, whatever, I don't give a shit. And then when I went back and listened to those last 2 records, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, these 2 records are just as good as the first 2. I'm like, how's that possible? I fucking wrote it off, and I when I went back, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, I love these records. So very cool stuff.
Yeah, I could say Mike Patton is one of the few people. It's not an emotion I feel often, but it's about musicians and life, but I'm legitimately jealous of that guy. Like, because not only like he could just sing whatever, whenever, and it be incredible, like just bouncing from band to band, just touring, Now he can pop into Faith No More and make a nice chunk of change, but then he can go do smaller things that he wants to do. And, then he does scoring. He's done just all different things. And I'm like, see, he just seems like it's not a struggle.
It is
seems
amazing.
Like he loves it. Yeah.
Like you'll be like, oh, I'm going to go
life.
do a band, Dead Cross, hang out with Dave Lombardo. I'm going to go fucking do some vocals over this Executioner DJ album. I'm going to do Lovage with Dan the Automator. Like he basically does his own thing. I'm going to start a label. I'm going to sign Chris Enrique as his band. A label.
He doesn't seem to get caught up in, any trend or any bullshit that we see with artists, or he doesn't, no drug problems, no arrests, but he's, there's a lot to it. And I'm like, that's a good life.
Great life.
It's like Maynard, like it's same thing.
Exactly.
Doing a bunch of different things.
Yes.
You kind of duck in, duck out. It seems to all work out real nicely. They seem to work hard. And, it's not like, this is my 5th wife, 14 kids.
No,
I'm doing that Faith No More tour because I got to pay off my bankruptcies.
No, Maynard is doing the same. Just making wine. And then being in 4 different bands when they send him some music. He's like, all right, let's go on tour for like a month. You figure Mike Patton, Maynard, Sammy Hagar, and Dave Grohl, and Chris Enriquez. Those are the 5 people that have the best lives.
I agree.
Those guys are doing better than everyone. So, all right, let's cut it off here.
Okay.
I have a bunch of shit. It's funny because I told everyone, I was like, we'll just do 15, 20 minutes. I'll put together like a 60, 70-minute episode. I have about 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
I was
wondering about that.
Well, in theory, I just figured, I don't know. I just figured, I'm like, I talked to Parker for like 10 minutes. So he was the easiest one. He was the first, and then I talked to Langan, same thing, like 20 minutes. We talked about like the RZA versus premiere thing that they did on Instagram yesterday, and that's about it. And then fucking man, the last 2 have been 2 hours, so I might just set the levels and just because everything that we talked about on everything is fine. I just don't want to sit down and edit 3 hours. I might just let it ride and just be like, whatever.
I mean, I can't think of anything in our conversation that probably need to edit, whatever.
You didn't call me anything nasty, so it's cool.
Nope. But the day is young.
Yeah. Cool, man. So I don't know.
Cool, man.
This was fun. Thank you for doing it. And
Thanks for asking.
I'm sure I will talk to you very soon.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.